Good afternoon, everyone. We're now going to call to order the Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, 3 p.m. School Board Workshop. If you please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, sing and receive by the God's earthly rise, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose breast stripes and bright stars through perilous skies, o'er the perilous we watch, twisted heavens we stream. Then the rocket's red Thank you. Please be seated. All right, roll call.
Where do you want us to start?
Ms. Massaro, would you like to start?
Lauren Ramirez, present.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Cheryl Massaro.
Colin Conklin, present.
Christy Chong, present.
Will Furry, present.
LaShaka Moore.
Okay, so we're now going to move down to changes to the agenda.
Yes, so we do have a couple changes. We will do 5.01, which is the recognition for our board members, Ms. Massaro and Dr. Conklin. We will do that right after the second public comment, and so we are going to take care of the action of the board things, and then we will do that. We also have a time certain for 3 p.m. for 12.01, please.
Okay, very good. And so we're going to move that just after public comment? Is that what we're going to do?
We will move 5.01 after public comment, and then we will move 12.02 after the first public comment.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. And we also...
I'm sorry? 12.02. Yeah, 12.02, I'm so sorry.
Yep, 1202. Okay, so we will move that just after public comment. And then after that, we're also going to need to circle back to number 2 for the reorganization meeting. There's some things to discuss for the new school board member-elect that Mr. Blaney is going to share for that area, the business meeting on the 19th. So I just need
May
a...
I just make an announcement before we get started?
Sure.
That there is not a 1 p.m. informational meeting next week on the 19th. We would typically have a 1 p.m. informational meeting, but with the restructure and reorganization of the board, that meeting is not being held. So the meeting that we have next week on the 19th is only the board business meeting at 6 p.m. So for those of you who come to all of our meetings, no 1 p.m.
All right. Thank you for
Mark
that
your calendar,
update,
yes.
Superintendent Moore. All right, I see the motion to adopt the agenda as modified.
Move approval? Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Conklin, a second by Ms. Massaro. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we will move forward with this agenda for today. So we will then move now to public comment. Do we have anybody scheduled for public comment?
Yes, we have Edward Fuller.
And we ask that everyone save any public comment for our board members that are leaving us with their last meeting being today. We ask that you save those for public comment number 2, please.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. Please come on up, Mr. Fuller. Yes.
This is quaint. Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable board members, Ms. Shakamore, I just want to comment on the Veterans Day Parade yesterday. And I can't express my gratitude, my appreciation, and my admiration for all the participation from the Flagler County schools yesterday. I saw little ones, medium ones, adults, and I saw grandfathers, uncles, aunts, nieces, and as those children, and I call them children, when you're my age you can call them children, you see them pass by, you get a sense of pride of community. This is a unifying event. It's a universal and unifying event. What a lesson was taught yesterday. And I'll tell you this much. In concert with the band members that I had a chance to talk with, I told them, you were a part of history. You made history yesterday, and they did make history. It was the largest Veterans Day parade ever in Flagler County. Not one of those young ladies and men complained about, oh, it was my day off, I got to march, it's 85 degrees, humidity, nothing. Not one terse comment. What am I doing on time here, by the way? You're going to cut?
Right in front of you, 1
Oh,
minute.
okay, well, thank you. Well, I could go on for hours, but that said, I cannot thank you all enough. Lashaka, you're amazing. Your principals are amazing. Those children are amazing. What an example. And school board, thank you for showing up yesterday. Not that you didn't show previous years, but this is how you build a culture. This is how you build tradition. We have to thank those who made the ultimate sacrifice and made a blank check for us. And what an example was set yesterday. And I thank God we didn't rain. That was the biggest thing, but I was hoping it'd be a little cooler, but it's Florida and that's what we get. But I cannot thank you with a sense of deep appreciation for remembering our veterans. We must never forget them. We must always honor them, whether it's November 11th or any other day. And this school board, that's what a lesson is all about. That's what leadership is about. That's what tradition is about. That's what culture is about. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I want to thank all the participants, and God bless every one of you. Thank you for being wonderful leaders of our children. And yesterday was a prime example of it. Lashaka, thank you. God bless you all.
It was a beautiful day.
Yes, it was. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Fuller. All right, are there any other public comments?
No one else has signed up.
Okay. All right, then we will close public comment, and we will move on to our first agenda item, which is 12.02. This is the Second Amendment to the Flagler County School Board Impact Fee Credit in regards to Hunter's Ridge, and Mr. Freeman and Mr. Whitson.
And since Mr. Freeman is here, I cannot take the credit for Veterans Day. We spoke, and I came back and spoke to our team. And so Mr. Freeman, Mr. Glasgow, and Mr. Marcus Sanfilippo, they are the ones who ensured that we had the turnout that we had. So just kudos to our team.
Yes, and Mr. Freeman even drove the bus for us.
Mr.
Thank
Freeman.
you.
He's been
Good
practicing.
job. I got documentation to prove it.
Dr. Conklin even rode on the bus
I
in
did.
Missouri.
Good stuff.
Yes, it was good stuff. Okay, so let's move on with this 12.02 agenda item. If you'd like to.
Chairman Furry and members of the board, Superintendent Moore. We have on the phone with us Mr. Wilson, who's our special counsel regarding this matter. And also in the audience, I'm aware that Mr. Fishman, the main developer of the project, is here with his attorney, Ms. Booker. You see in the packet the letter that we have sent. I think it was August 20, you adopted an agreement to extend the time frame for making payment on this item to the school district. They have failed to timely pay that, and they admit, have at least admitted to me many times over the phone that they owe the funds. The purpose of our discussion here is whether or not you would like to grant another extension to make good on that payment amount. The principal amount is $1.344 million, well, $134,100 plus $69,000 in interest. They have already made a $500,000 payment because the total amount previously was 1.8. There's additional interest due. I believe it's $230 something dollars, $232.29 a day until paid. They have requested an extension to 15 December, and depending on the date that the payment is made, we would make that calculation. So we're here to discuss this matter and answer any questions you may have regarding this item. And Mr. Wilson, if you have anything other than that to add, I'll certainly ask you to chime in.
No, sir, that covers it.
Okay. Well, then, I'll open the floor to any questions for staff on this item.
I have a question, and it's relatively a simple question. I think we need to do this, and I want to support it. The only thing I'm concerned about is there more debt that's assumed by this organization? And if so, where do we fall in the pecking order as far as receiving our funds? Because it could become possible that they may not be able to make that payment, and then where are we going to end up? Mr. Wilson, can you help me with that?
I mean, I guess it's always a risk that the entity could go bankrupt and we would be a creditor. I guess I could perhaps argue it was, I don't think it's recorded against the land, so we'd be an unsecured creditor. I'm not a bankruptcy expert on that, so I can't say directly. But we have a contract, and they're at bay. And if they don't, then our remedy is that the county ceases issuing permits.
So,
Yeah, it's in a DRI area, so.
Okay. Well, we do have the representatives from the developer here. Why don't we bring them up to the table so we can ask some questions and get some answers directly? Welcome. Could you please state your name for the records?
Glenn Fishman, I'm the managing partner in Hunter's Ridge or U.S. Capital Alliance. If I could, I just want to make one little correction. The original debt was $3 million. We've paid down $1.7 million, I think, to this date or so. We're late. We're late. I mean, there's no excuse for being late other than we got caught over the whammy between sort of the holidays for me and between the hurricane. We just didn't get done what we needed to get done. So, we got a couple of curveballs from there. Currently, we have about $12 million of sales that are closing between now and mid-December, of which we had arrangements with our lender, our overall lender, to answer your question, that the first proceeds will be going to the school board to rectify that with the appropriate level of interest and accrued interest from that date. So I think it was like $69,000, plus it's going to be another like $25,000 or something like that. And so the intent here is to pay that off 100% before any proceeds go to either Hunter's Ridge itself or its lender. And so that was made with our primary lender, Metropolitan Partners Group. So, I certainly want to thank you guys for entertaining this. It was unfortunate we didn't want to be here. We came to the school board in good faith, a few years back to try to solve a problem for you and for us in terms of what that site was like and to try to move that forward. We made a deal that we had every intention of keeping. and we've run into some headwinds, but I think we've solved those problems, and unfortunately, we just got delayed, a 30-day period, so it's not like I'm here saying, okay, I need another year, or, I just need another month, if you would be so gracious. And again, I have no excuse for not paying, you don't pay, you don't pay, but, we're willing to pay the interest penalties that the school board feels appropriate to do, so, and we, if you've driven by the site, you can see there's a lot of development, there's a lot of change, there's a lot of positive change. We have new retailers coming, besides just residents, we have new retailers coming, and overall, I think the project has moved much faster than I think it did for the previous 10 years, but again, none of that is an excuse, none of that is meant as an excuse to sort of like justify bad behavior. I missed it. Like so I just need another 30 days to make it good.
Well, the only concern I have is, we continually get promises and then they're not followed through on. And, this started back from December of last year when this payment was first due. And it's my understanding that our team had to reach out to you to chase down those payments. There wasn't any proactive effort to say, hey, we're going to be late. Hey, what can we work out here? This is the chain of events that has been we've come to understand.
And Mr. Farr, you are absolutely correct. I could tell you the individual who Mr. Whitson, I think it was you, was reaching out for no longer works for the company.
Okay.
And we're not a big company. So if Mr. Whitson calls somebody and that person doesn't respond, it just kind of goes into a little bit of a black hole, and which is what happened. And when you finally reached out for us, I think he could say, I responded right away. He asked me for copies of the agreements that needed to justify where the dollars were coming from. We provided that a few days, maybe a week later or so. So I've been trying to be very, very proactive. I flew in today for this meeting. If I need to fly in for Thursday's meeting, I will fly back in for Thursday's meeting. Because we want to be proactive. I think if you would to ask the county, we have been extremely transparent, or that's my practice, always to be transparent, be upfront, and be available. Everybody can have my cell phone number. You call, you text me, I respond. I always give you the answer you want, but I'll respond. You're not going to have to chase me. So I do apologize for that. All I can say is the individual no longer works for us.
Well, but then there's the next phase. Again, every step of the way, we're eating through our school board resources, our staff's time, our legal expenses, to keep moving this along here. And then here we are again. We gave you an extension last time, and then there were promises saying, "Hey, we will have the money by then." What changed between that extension and this extension?
So, and I can answer that. I don't know if you'll like the answer, but really it was a confluence of three events. And one was these contracts are all sort of semi-dependent on St. John's, and St. John's has taken a unique track after we've had 6 subdivisions closed, retail and residential, besides the many that closed years before that. And they all operated under a certain process. There was a new reviewer came in, and the process changed. And as you know, you're stuck, right? If St. John's doesn't give you the permit, you're just stuck. So that was one. We thought we had that resolved. We had a number of meetings with St. John's. The hurricane happened, and that got everybody off work for 2 weeks. In the middle, the Jewish holidays came up. And, this month, October for the Jewish holidays, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and Sukkot, like, I just wasn't available. Again, it stops with me. It's my fault. But
I mean, there must have been something that was, some funds that were going to arrive by that date. So, but what?
Well, what
why
happened was
didn't they come in?
so when we had the Ironwood closing, we sent you the funds. It was $500,000, right? And then we were anticipating what we call the Brookside site, which is what this whole deal came out of, if you will, 3 years ago, which was supposed to close in December of last year, hence the December date for paying you off, okay? And I don't know if you call it New Jersey ignorance to Florida bureaucracy, but didn't judge the whole St. John's process.
Well, the St. John's process, just to explain a little without trying to get very complicated, because the site has a 2,000 acre conservation area that is used for mitigation, all the St. John's permits are tied into that. And so the mechanism that they were using to calculate it, they changed totally. So it wasn't just like, you know, a reviewer needed to look at something. It was a significant change in how they were analyzing the permitting. So it kind of put everything on a screeching halt, because now we had a new reviewer who thought it should be a different system. And literally, you know, they had to hire environmental attorneys and to try to work it out. So that is that put a halt on the closings.
But we're literally chasing this closing, which would have paid off the obligation. That was what the original agreement was, to buy this site. Okay, I mean, so you go back to the beginning. Should have happened in December of last year. And it didn't, and then we kept thinking we were closer, and it just took, I want to say, till probably the beginning of maybe mid-September, till St. John said, well, this is really what our problem is. We want to change the process. And once they agreed, once they sort of opened up the kimono and said, this is what we want you to do from now on, we then did it. And in 2 or 3 weeks, we got it done. So, or really, it's not done for the rest of the project, but it's done enough so that the school site can close. You know, Brookside would close. But just so you, and again, these are my problems. These are not the school board's problems. This deal wasn't contingent on this. I get all that. But we went down, we lost 20-something% of our density because of the way they're looking at the process. And you know, we'll make our arguments phase 2, whatever. It has nothing to do with you guys here. But the contracts for sale are there. The outtakes to the national builder are there. Everybody's ready to go. The financing is lined up. I just can't move till I got the permit, and we finally made headway where we now have submitted all the documents. We're waiting for clearance from Christine over at St. John's that the permit's there, and then we can close. So we're using the 15th as the, trying to figure out when they're going to actually issue something.
But what I'm concerned about here is that we may be setting a precedence here that for future developers that run into a situation where they don't have the funds to pay their fees as they were contractually due, right, to utilize the school district in this case as a way to mitigate a problem that you have internally, rather than seeking outside mitigated sources. Like, for example, did you seek any external financing or partnerships in here to satisfy the agreements that you had already agreed to, and then on the first round, and then now we're here second, and now we're here third. So
to that, we spoke to our lender about doing a protective advance, and we spoke to, we took some of the retail sites and put them up for sale. So we have 2 sales pending, not just the Brookside site. Okay, one was we sold the retail for, I think, earlier than we wanted to. Okay, I think we sold it probably a year or 2, right? Retail is generally worth more money the more houses are around it. But to meet this obligation, I put them up for sale. We've got a buyer, and that's my backup plan if the St. John's doesn't do it, because I don't need St. John's to do the retail. That we have those permits in hand, and we've issued the contract to close, and that would pay it off. So that's my backup. So in terms of sort of coming, I didn't want to come before this body unless I had an answer, other than saying, I just need more time. I wanted to have a time date. And so we now have, option A and option B to mitigate, that situation.
So if on the 15th, I believe it is, what is your contingency plan if you don't get the permits by then?
So then we have the retail sale, which is not contingent on the permits.
So at that point, regardless of those permits, you'd be able to make the payments due in this
Correct.
contract?
Correct, and we've already spoken to our main lender, which is where I started, I think, to answer your question, who agreed to release 100% of the proceeds of that sale to the school.
Okay, and then, well, I just like to add, and there may be some other questions from other board members also, but I just like to add, I'd like to see some additional payment toward the principal, if we're gonna add this extension as a good faith showing that they're committed to actually paying this off on the 15th. So what that number might be, if we agree on that, just like the last time, they brought, I think, 500,000 in, you know, some sort of good faith showing that you're going to follow through this time.
I appreciate that. It would be complicated, given that we're going to close in 30 days. I hear why you want it. Again, I can't argue, and I'm not going to, but it would be more difficult than it would sound on the surface. It just...
Well, you know, what's difficult for me is, you know, I'm a free market capitalist, and I believe that the market should work itself out, and I believe that, you know, a private enterprise like yourself should be able to meet its obligations, right, and not leverage that of the school district, in this case, to get to their end result. Because the consequence of this would have been, if it defaulted back in December of last year, then everything would have fallen apart from you. And I'm just not, to me, this looking more and more like a corporate welfare type of scenario. You know, when I look at, and I look at it in a frame set, and I know this may not seem a direct correlation to this situation, but you know, here it is. We have homeless families in our school district right now, and they have a contract with their landlord, and they missed one payment, and then they're out on the street in 30 days. Right, there is no, and we're having affordability crisis in our community right now. Those families and other families can't afford the houses that are being built here right now, right? And I look at this here is that we continue to prop up your project without a default on it for the extension here up to now almost a year after it was due. And, you know, we are recouping the interest, but that was at a request that we made. There was never an offer of anything more than what the original amount was owed when you originally requested it. So these are some of my concerns here, is that I don't want to set a precedence in here that this is how things are going to go forward in the future with other developers when it comes to dealing with the school district or any municipality for that matter.
So I would say a couple of things, and I want to be respectful, but the one is, when we approached the school board about this, the site itself was a bit of a problem. It was unfit for what its intended purpose was, and it could have been. The deal we made, and I'm not looking to renegotiate or relitigate that deal, but we basically paid $3 million for a site that if we would have waited till now, you would have paid me for, okay? And we did it because we thought we would get the permits and we would monetize it, and like you said, it's a capital system. So we came in front of the school board, and I think we made an offer and a deal that made sense for everybody. We didn't take 100% of the purchase price in credits, right? We actually paid $1 million over and above what the credits that we are receiving. In terms of the interest and penalty, I think Mr. Whitson will tell you again. There's a gap there that, look, when you sit on the top, you take the brunt of it. But again, that employee is no longer with us. But I had said to Mr. Whitson that we would pay the appropriate interest and penalty when we talked last week. So I'm not going to put a number out there. I'm not going to go shoot myself. But I understand, that there's a cost, and there's a cost to this, and we're willing to pay that cost. I'm just asking for 30 days so I can get it completely resolved, and resolved in a way that works for you and works for us. And that's what I'm saying. I don't remember the statistics. It's been a long time since I had to really address them, but we're going to put up, and in the last 2 years, I guess, or 2 years, we've probably injected somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 to $100 million into this community, in terms of employment, in terms of dollars spent, in terms of road improvements, impact fees, taxes, jobs. Construction creates a lot of jobs, it's very labor intensive. All the contractors we use, all the vendors we use, almost all the vendors on the site are local, meaning local to Volusia, Flagler County, not necessarily, Ormond Beach area. We're not bringing people in from out of town, out of state. Okay, all the workers, all our experts are local. And we feel that we are a productive member of the community. We don't get involved in, as a lot of developers seem to want to become sort of quasi-political entities in and of themselves. We've stayed as far away from that as we possibly can. We don't get involved in that because, I don't live here. So, I don't know what's good here. I know that you guys know what's good for here, and so I stay out of your way. That's what I see our role as. And as I said, in this time next year, you'll see another almost 100, 250. You'll probably see close to 350 homes go up. And, there's nothing that brings down the price of homes is more supply. So to the affordability crisis, part of the affordability crisis is a result that there's 4 million people who need homes, and there's only like $2 million, there's only 2 million units available, or some such number. I don't remember all the statistics. So the more inventory you put out there, it will hopefully, increase supply, allows the demand and allows the prices go down. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I'm not. That's much higher level of economy than economics than I have. But all I can tell you is that we continue to try to be a good thing. We've redesigned, Ormond Beach, that roundabout, which was an eyesore for years and years and years. We've been working very hard to try to keep a clean site. You drive by, it's not a mess. We try to be good neighbors in that respect. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. I mean, we do. But again, I think overall, we are not trying to become part of the corporate welfare system. We're not.
I know, but it's not. I don't disagree with a lot of what you just said about how the impact of construction, supply and demand, and all those factors. But this is not about that. It's about commitments being made and commitments being kept.
Well,
that's where this questioning is leading to. Because what I want this board to be confident in, because this is the first time we've spoken with you in person, and so that we can feel confident that if we approve this extension, we have a new board that's going to be sworn in the night that this vote's going to be made. I want them to feel confident that however they vote, that you're going to follow through with that commitment this time.
What I would ask you to do is speak to the guys at Flagler County. Because, if I tell you I'm going to keep my word, it's like, okay, what else is going to say, right? Talk to the people of Flagler County. I've kept my word in every promise that I have made to them. Okay, I have done everything I've said I was going to do. I've done it in a professional manner. We've gone over and above trying to make the promises kept. I mean, we came in after a developer who couldn't keep his own promises for years and years and years and what have you, and we corrected all those deficiencies. We brought the property up. We brought that whole emergency route from Dorrance Lane, right? All those things, we've solved that. We've solved some of the water crises and drainage issues for people that have nothing to do with my land. Okay, we have tried to be a good neighbor. We continue to be a good neighbor. Next year with these projects moving forward, you'll see the advent of the fire lake, which will be the new amenity in the conservation area and the walking trails. So, I mean, that won't probably happen for 12 to 18 months, but you'll see the beginning of that. And that's with these projects. So if I tell you I'm going to do it, I do it. That's all I can sell to you. But I could say if you ask the guys at Flagler County, they will tell you I do what I say I'm going to do.
Thanks for the. Right, so I'll yield from now, and you can go on.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Mr. Fishman? Yes?
First of all, welcome, and thank you for coming personally and making the trip. To me, that speaks volumes. Owning it and just saying, giving us the truth and being transparent. We've had 2 hurricanes. I just read about the changes Fish and Wildlife have been going through with their formula changes. I understand the Jewish holidays, having a Jewish father-in-law, and I understand that, and things happen. I do share Will's concerns about setting a precedent. That is one concern. However, the fact that you got on a plane, you flew here to look us basically in the eye take ownership for it. And not to forget, you've already paid 1.7 of the 3. The penalty is pretty harsh. And so I have a feeling that you're not going to want to continue to pay such a penalty on a daily basis, and that you're going to want to rectify this situation just as quickly as we would like to have it rectified. So I, as Chair Furry has stated, myself and Cheryl are not going to be here for that meeting on Thursday, as our terms are up and we'll be rotating off the board. There will be 3 other board members. 2 of them are here now, and it may be worthwhile to spend some time sharing information. So there's a historical background. This is a very unique piece of land. We have been discussing this piece of land for 20-plus years.
So I would offer in that vein, if the new board members would like to set I'm flying out tonight. I could be back here if you think it's prudent for Thursday's meeting, I'll fly back in.
Well, the Thursday meeting is not this week, it's the 18th, I believe.
19th.
Tuesday, the
Tuesday.
19th.
So
the
I
19th.
can fly in if you think that's
Tuesday, the
appropriate.
19th.
I'll come in for that.
And I'm just saying that in fairness to the new board members who won't maybe have all the information, it would probably be beneficial for them to see you at that board meeting if there are questions.
I'd be happy to come in.
And maybe that is something that can be facilitated
Could we-
through staff to see if that's even necessary.
Could we set up like a Zoom call prior?
The laws in
Or-
Florida are very interesting.
Yeah, that's why I'm being very cautious
Yeah.
here.
Can't till they're-
So you
So
can,
can we do one, right, you can do one, right, you can't have 2?
One-on-one.
Oh, so same as New Jersey.
so there's a lot of history to this piece
Yeah.
of land. And so understanding all of that history, yeah, I think is beneficial. Again, I agree with Chair Furry in regards to setting a precedent, but I do feel comfortable looking at the penalties that have already been levied, the additional penalties that'll be levied, and the reality of the situation of knowing kind of the changing of the formula of fish and wildlife, and everything else that was mentioned. It wasn't 1 hurricane, there was 2, right? But really, truly, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the simple fact that you are sitting across the table from us, and you are being transparent. And so I have to believe you're telling us the truth.
See in 15, 35 or 45 days, right? So, but if staff could set up, I guess, one-on-one conferences at more or less if you could tell us what times work for you. And for any of the board members, I shouldn't only be the new ones, anybody who wants to, I will make myself available.
And
with staff.
again, that's up to you all,
Yeah,
I'm
if you
just
want.
sharing that
Yeah.
there's additional history that staff might be
Would you
able
appreciate getting more
to.
information directly from Mr.
Sure,
Fisher?
I would definitely appreciate
Okay.
that, but I would also appreciate some of the historical notes that you guys have accumulated
Yes.
from the board meetings. For
Staff.
example, like, is the current amount that has been paid proportionate to the development that has taken place thus far? That would be a question. And then, of the delays that they've experienced, is that typical in terms of timeline delays?
That's a great question. I mean, I would say that some of it is probably typical, because whenever you deal with government, there's a propensity for bureaucratic sort of snafus. But this one going as long as it has, which is almost a year, was because I think there was a paradigm shift from Tallahassee as it related to mitigation and mitigation banks, and we just got the DRIs are a development regime that's no longer used in the state of Florida. And one of the reasons they're not used is because they sort of supplanted or offset mitigation banks, and none of which are my field. So
May I speak to that, Mr.
Yeah.
Fury? I have spoken directly to Adam Mingle, the Director of Growth Management. I've spoken to Sean Moylan, the County Attorney, and they assured me that they're watching us, and that whatever we do, they will take the lead, and if they need to stop issuing permits, they will. However, I also am aware of the rule changes I'm also aware of the history of this project to the extent that I've read the file, about yay thick.
Yeah.
And I have confidence that what he is sharing with you is truthful. I'm aware of the environmental changes on the standards for the change from Tallahassee. And this has to do with, the springs
Yeah.
and the underground water and the, the kinds of aquifer protection that Florida is wanting to
They're good
initiate.
changes.
And
Sorry
so
for you, but
it-
they are
it's-
good changes.
They're good changes for the environment.
For the
but
environment.
They're not too good for, planning a project. So I would just say that those are all truthful from my point of view and my experience. And, Mr. Freeman can take it from here.
Yeah, staff has prepared a document, two-page document that kind of outlines the initial purchase and what happened in 2022, and then the steps that we've taken throughout that time that we can share with
I think it would
each
be
of the board
really
members.
beneficial to sit down with each of the new board members and really clearly go through,
Yeah.
maybe not the whole file,
Yeah.
right? But give them the snapshot.
Right.
And the historical perspective, because it is a unique piece of property. The last question, I didn't mean to interrupt, just one more question, and you guys can ask all the questions you want. Mr. Wilson, question for you. So let's just say, which I don't believe would be the case, that the deadline is not met. What is the consequences if that is the case? Can we lien the property?
No, what we do is we tell the county that we haven't been paid, and the county ceases issuing permits.
Got it, okay.
Because here again, everybody, the issue is they're paying for impacts, right?
Yep.
So if they stop issuing permits, then
Yeah, catch 22.
they can't impact us until they pay us.
Right.
So that's our interest in this as the school district,
Yep.
is to obtain the mitigation payment.
So
Yes,
really,
you
the
can't- you can't-
win-win is for you to pay it
Yeah.
Yes.
and continue to, right, okay.
So if we don't get permits, we can't sell the dirt.
Right.
So it's a
And it-
stopper.
Yeah.
It's a dead stop for
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So this will come back before you on the 19th,
You'll
and
be
what
voting
you'll
on it.
be voting on is to approve or deny the amendment to the contract, which would, if approved, give the extension, if denied, would not grant the extension. So this will come back to you on the 19th.
Yep.
And that is in board docs for everyone to review.
Yes, the history is in board doc as well as the most recent things, and we prepared a two-page fact sheet that'll help kind of consolidate.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Or
Just thank you for coming. I'm okay with this, but I just think that this just needs to be it, because, yeah, there's a lot of resources and time of staff involved, and your own time too, so.
Yes, no, I do appreciate your physical presence here today, making the efforts to come down and allow us to ask you questions directly. I do appreciate that.
And you have, they now have my cell phone number, so as this gets talked, I mean, pursuant to the appropriate, rules and regulations, you can always get a hold of me. You know, always get a hold of me.
Janie, did you?
All right.
Yeah, I
Janie
do
has a
have an
question.
additional question. It sounds like that the impact funds were essentially being financed. And so, because you have to wait for a certain commercial piece to have those funds to pay us, that's what I heard here today, it sounds like. So is that typical of the board, that other developers typically, the
Typically,
impact
no.
fee is
No, I think it's
financed?
because of the
Very unusual.
situation they're
Just-
in right
this
now.
is unique.
Typically, they pay, as I understand it, now, none of our deals work that way, so, but my understanding is that a normal developer would go, and I think when they go apply for the CO for that house, they then have to pay the impact fee.
Right.
We're paying the impact fees when we close on the dirt, so we're a year ahead. We're paying that impact fee 12 months ahead of when it would normally be. So, give you an example, on the Brookside, which is this site, it's 160 residential units in the two phases, so 130. So it's going to take me a year to put the infrastructure in, and then it'll take a year for the last house to actually get a CO. So you're getting the fees 2 years earlier than you would normally And that was, I'm sure that was all part of the negotiation. I'm not relitigating the deal, but we're paying significantly earlier than a typical developer. A typical developer would never pay it. He would have his builder pay it, or the homeowner pays it at the closing.
This one's different.
And we paid $1 million more than
That's a-
impact fees.
$1 million is a donation,
That we
and $2
provide.
million was to get credit.
Right,
So they will
everybody,
get,
this is a DRI, so it's a little different. And they're able to enter into this agreement with us. And they are paying $2 million of impact fees.
Right.
They're actually, it's a mitigation fee, which we give impact fee credits for, it's not impact fees.
It's just,
And
it's an odd
that,
little
there's
doc.
way more impact fees coming over time as this develops. But they're paying some of it up front.
And I have to, just as an aside, when we did this deal, the impact fees were $3,600. And so we thought we bought X, and they went up to
You're under the new-
Yeah,
$5,400.
the new ones, yeah.
And so we ended up with Y, which was, so obviously we have more units to sell than we have impact credits. We have 1,800 units, we only have like 250 credits or something left. So it was, we thought we would have had another 100 credits to make that.
so the 2 million impact fee credits, they will, once that's paid, they will receive vouchers. They've already received some vouchers for what they've paid.
It's been paid at each closing.
Right, but the donation part was, if you look at how sort of they reverse engineered, the donation part was paid first. So it's not like you've given $2 million of impact fees out and not collected the money. You've basically gotten $1.7 million and still, and you've only given $700,000 of impact fees out.
Yeah, and at
Some math like
At the
that.
end of the day, if they're successful, let's just say, just scenario, if they're successful, they go forward, their project closes, over time, the district will receive impact fees on each house that is built. And let's just say we've already given out 200-300 credits. Well, what's the difference between that and 1,800? And that's about $7-8 million more that's going to come over time to the district. So it's in our best interest to see them succeed. But I, with all due deference to your points about, keeping your obligations, that's why we're having this conversation.
For a future workshop, it might not be a bad idea to just have a workshop about DRI mitigation impact fees, because it is a very convoluted topic.
DRIs are
It really
different,
is.
they're unusual.
Yeah.
This is the last one the county has, but our friends in Palm Coast have several. So anyway, it's not a conversation that's going to go away soon.
All right.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you again for
everybody.
coming.
Thank you. And again, I'm
With-
available through Mr. Whitson if you want to schedule a call.
Thank you.
With Mr. Whitson already being here, do we want to go ahead and address 12.01
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
since he's here?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else for Mr. Wilson?
No,
Anything else for Chris?
Not that
I don't think so.
Shouldn't.
No.
Thank you, Chris, you're amazing, appreciate you.
Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Okay, so we'll move on to 12.01.
Proportionate share mitigation for Grand Landings Phase 5.
Phase
Phase
5.
5 week.
You have the document in front of you. There was
I
a
know.
minor change. The company that is entering this in agreement is no longer Grand Landings Holdings, but Grand Landings Development.
How
And
many times are they changing their name?
I don't know. It's a constant job of keeping up with all of this, plus the names of the developments. And so we've made that change. They have signed the agreement and notarized it in Texas and sent it back. And Lorraine has the documents, and we are good to go from my point of view. But if you have any questions, I'd certainly be happy to answer them.
So it's just the name change.
Yes, of the
All other
holding
terms-
company,
All the
yes.
other terms stay the same.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you can go to the map, just so the board
Yeah.
knows where the development is. I think you know where Grand
Is
Landings.
this it's off Seminole Woods?
Yes, it's Grand Landings, it's west of Grand Landings Phase 4 off of Citation Boulevard and Grand Landings Boulevard.
No, I apologize. I was thinking of the other
Reserve.
The preserve, the
Grand
gardens,
Reserve.
the
Grand
Reserve.
Reserve is in Benell, Grand Landings
Yeah,
is
no, I was
in Palm
thinking-
Coast.
I was thinking of the garden project.
Yeah. This one's in Palm Coast.
Okay. No questions for me? Anybody, any other board members have questions? Okay. All right, then we will, we're all set here. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. It's been
And
an
as we
honor.
transition, we want to just thank Mr. Whitson. This is his last day
Oh,
with
that's
Flagler
right.
Schools. He is going on to different things, so we wish you the best of luck.
Yes,
Thank
all
you
the
so
best.
much.
Pleasure
very much.
working with you.
Yes, it sure has been a pleasure.
Best of luck to you.
Best of luck. Okay, so before we go on to financial, you guys can come up. We just got to circle back for a moment to for the recess and reorganization meeting, just for the benefit of the school board elect that will be sworn in that night. So just in kind of an order of events, and after we call to order and we do our moment of silence and national anthem, you'll be sworn in. And then we're going to move into reorganization. And just a couple of things to maybe be prepared for in the reorganization. One is on the meeting dates and times for the year. There should be a template that we have already. Is it in board docs yet?
It's not in board
Okay.
docs, but we have it
All right,
available.
and the liaison, so if we can just make sure that all the board members get a copy of the most recent dates and liaison appointments, so we can look at those ahead of time and make it a little easier the night of.
And we did share that with them during orientation, to
Wonderful.
be prepared with those, for those two
Excellent.
things.
Excellent. And then the other thing is about board meeting dates. I've come to terms with Mr. Delaney on our contract for school board attorney. But part of that discussion is the dates that he would be available to be here in person himself every time, and for that commitment throughout the year. And so these dates are going to be important to consider that night on when we're going to hold our meetings. They have always been, as long as I've been on, the first and third Tuesday. But there are some alternatives that Mr. Delaney has brought with him today to discuss with you to consider for the 19th reorganization meeting. Would you like to share those? Mr. Delaney?
Sure, and for continuity's sake, it's important that you have the same attorney sitting with you at meetings, and I want to be available for questions before and after the meeting, so it's my goal, if I'm fortunate enough to be picked to be the board attorney, I want to be here in person. There are some commitments I've made since I've been doing this for over a decade to some other districts. Lots of school districts meet on Tuesday nights, and that's just a real challenge in my schedule. So my thought would be, in order to guarantee that I can be with you virtually every single time that the board meets, would be a request to consider Wednesdays. And in looking at the county commission and the city of Benell and just other regularly scheduled meetings, so we wouldn't have a conflict with the board room, it looks to me like the second and fourth Wednesdays are clear for meeting in the boardroom downstairs. Obviously, I think the board and the superintendent would probably want to consider continue in this format for at least some of their meetings. But that would be my request, so I can be as available to you for meeting times in person as much as possible. Obviously, phone calls and other things like that during the week, that's not the constraint. It's just being available on Tuesday nights, I'm kind of stuck.
If we stayed with Tuesdays, how often do you see that you would not be here?
The only way that I think that I would not be able to attend in person the agenda meetings, these workshops like we're doing right now, I would have to attend those virtually. And if the meeting was on the fourth Tuesday of the month, then I would not have a conflict and I could be here in person. But my strong preference would be to go for Wednesdays, so I just don't have any question of a conflict and we could start a little bit earlier or whenever, I would have more flexibility in joints to make sure that I wouldn't have an issue. But I can commit to the fourth Tuesday of the month for the evening meeting, but I would not be able to attend the workshop on like the second Tuesday of the month,
When
in
is
person.
the decision, what's the timeline on the decision regarding his appointment or hiring?
Well, we're already in contract with his firm. What we're doing right now is solidifying the longer term agreement as a board attorney. Right now, the direction that we're going is the superintendent is seeking their district attorney to be on staff, and Weiss and Sirota, Mr. Delaney, would be the board's attorney, as it has been since we hired him, because Superintendent Moore has been using sniffing and spelling for most of the district needs. And then they would likely still remain as outside counsel for certain items that the district needs, but all those that could be handled in-house would be handled by the internal. But the question is, we can choose our counsel outside of ratifying the contract. Once we're in a contract, we're in a contract. But legal counsel, we can that can look any way we want it to be, right? But right now, I think what we're looking at is we need to have legal counsel, and this is the legal counsel that we have at the moment. If the board wants to discuss that further, once everybody's sworn in, that's obviously a topic for discussion. But right now, the way that it is structured right now, Weiss and Sirota is the counsel for the board at the moment. So nothing will change between now and the 19th. So from there, we have to work with what we have in our hand right now. But the dates of board meetings, remember, we're going to be forecasting out the year. We can change that. If things change, we can change the board meetings again if we need to. It's not ideal to constantly change, but we have to start with what we have for the new board year at the reorganization. So, and these are the dates that, and I would encourage the board to consider dates where he could be in person for all meetings. I find that to be always the best scenario, although at workshops it's not always necessarily imperative to have the physical presence of the attorney, because they can be here remotely. But I do think it is the better scenario. Now, we must have him in person for our business meetings. That's just non-negotiable. So that's where the dates will come in.
Yeah.
And we don't have to make a decision here tonight, but I wanted to make sure you had the information, but feel free to have a conversation on this.
Yeah, we need to talk about this. I mean, I wish I'd known this a little sooner, but, I mean, I work in healthcare. I, said these are the dates I need. There is the reality, if I can't have Wednesdays off, you're gonna have a board member who's not here. So, I don't know.
And that's something that we all have to work out. We have 5 board members with 5 different schedules, but we have to make them come into concert as best we can, because that's just the nature of
I'm just trying to, I'm separating my personal availability from this picture and just trying to understand the context. It sounds like we have a contract with his law firm. We do not have an employment contract with that individual lawyer. And so that means, should assignments change, I know he says he's devoted to us, but that could mean additional flexibility if we don't have one dedicated person.
It's
so
true.
That's, I guess the question is that the long-term arrangement that is currently comfortable with? The
long-term arrangement would be for Mr. Delaney, because we wouldn't want to have another attorney filling in, unless it was just like a fill-in for the sake of something happens, he's out of town, or if it's just an emergency that he can't be here. But we want to have the continuity of the same representation. It wouldn't be, I don't believe it would be in our best interest to have different attorneys, because if you learn,
Right,
every attorney can look at something and have a different opinion. But at the same time, it would be better for us to have that. But there is a possibility that they might send a fill-in from time to time so that we have representation. That would be something that they need to provide us as virtue of our contract. But ideally, we want to have the same attorney with us as much as possible.
So if we value that, why is it that we're contracting with the business as opposed to having hired an individual?
Well, it is a firm that he's a partner of, Weiss and Sirota. Just like Sniffin and Spelling is a firm, but there are different attorneys within the firm that are assigned to an entity like ours. And Mr. Delaney is a board-certified school board attorney, so that is when we initially were seeking representation. His credentials met the needs of what we were looking for, and we've been working with him for several months now. And so we've, as the current board, we've been working well with them, so that was the direction to continue on in that relationship, right? So I guess that's the best way I could answer that
Yeah.
question.
No, I understand
Yeah.
all of the context. I don't understand the fundamental decision, I guess, and that's what I get, is my wondering, is this the permanent configuration that we're going to stay with? And if we're not entertaining hiring one dedicated person, then this is something we maybe need to continually revise based upon that representatives.
Well, no doubt that nothing is in perpetuity. So in fact, this is what we have at the moment for representation. And this has been the direction of the board, which I was appointed as the negotiator for this to get this going, because we need to have legal representation. As a board that we'll all be serving on together, we can bring different concepts forward. If one is not happy with our legal representation, we can have those conversations as a board and see where it goes. But right now, some of the things that, as you're coming on, have already been kind of put into motion. It doesn't mean that you don't have a say after you're sworn in, but there are certain things that have been worked on before you've arrived that are intended to keep the momentum of the board going, right? But after the fact, we will all have a say in what this looks like going forward. But right now, the will of the board has been directing Superintendent Moore to seek an in-house counsel, and us have a separate counsel for the school board on a contractual basis. So they're not, Weiss and Sirota is not Mr. Lane is not an employee of Flagler Schools. He is like a contractor, if for lack of a better term. And he will be providing services at the will of our requests on an hourly basis.
Is that part of the contract that we are provided with Mr. Delaney because typically if you contract with a business, as long as somebody has credentials. So is it that's written into our contract?
That is the agreement that we have. It doesn't preclude them from sending in somebody to fill in if needed, because we need representation. But that would be an evaluation, again, of us, of a review of his performance and his firm's performance. We would say, Mr. Delaney, we expected you to be here every time, but you're sending in an associate, and that's not okay with us, right? If that was happening, we would have that conversation as a board and see if we wanted to make corrections or changes, so.
So, at the 19th, we will bring forward a template of dates for your current, and we will bring forth a template of dates for a proposed Wednesday, and then wherever you guys go within that discussion, we will, as a staff, will work through that.
Would it be, so if, let's say Wednesday, would that be the whole day, like how Tuesday is, so it would be, Wednesday would be
Swapping a
today's
day.
Same model,
So-
same model. So we would say, in this scenario, as Mr. Delaney has presented, so the second Wednesday of the month, we would have the 3 p.m. meeting, agenda meeting like we're having today. And then on the fourth Wednesday, we would have the 1 o'clock informational workshop followed by the business meeting at 6 p.m. at night. Same format, it would just be moving a day forward. Now, we can shift that to keep it on Tuesdays, but it is clear that Mr. Laney said, because he had prior relationships with some other school districts on those nights that have meetings the same night we have. So that is, he's presenting to us as how he can accommodate us with
And
what days.
When would that, so if that went through, is it starting like the following month, so December? Is that enough?
Yeah, so we would.
And what about staff and, I mean, I'm just trying to think,
Sure.
it's not just
Well-
us or him, it's a group.
Sure. No, I mean, good question, but we have to set our board meeting dates as a board, and that is, staff will come in line. If Superintendent Moore sees any concerns of being able to meet those dates, I would encourage you to express that. Right now, because we're talking about just maybe setting these, is there anything you see, if we were to change these to Wednesdays, that would cause any challenges to the district?
Honestly, I would have to look, but at the end of the day, it's your board meeting, and we will have to adjust to that. But we will have for you a Tuesday with the understanding that the second Tuesday will be virtual with Mr. Delaney. Everybody else will still be in place. And then he will be here in person for the fourth Tuesday. If we kept it on Tuesday, we'll have that prepared for you. We'll have Wednesday prepared for you. The district staff, we're prepared to make a reorganization. So we know that there could be a change. We just need to be prepared for whatever it is, and we'll find that on the 19th.
Yeah, and if we're fine with Mr. Delaney being virtual to our workshops, then it sounds like the only change would have to be is that we'd have to move the business meeting to the fourth Tuesday.
Why are you doing that again? The fourth Tuesday?
For him to ensure that he could be present at our business meeting on that. But then if we keep it on Tuesdays, it just means it's going to be virtual, which still works, right? I mean, we're not voting at our workshops. We don't need the parliamentarian there, especially for that. But for our business meeting, we have to have the attorney there. But he can, if we go with Tuesdays, it just means he'll be on virtual, just like the attorney was on today. Ready, willing, and available to answer questions. So we're going to have representation, whichever date we choose. It's just what the board's desire is, and we just need to have some direction forward on the 19th, because that is our reorganization meeting. Yeah,
For
sure.
what it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to kind of, I think you're asking for something a little different, right? It is,
It's said and done.
there's a conversation around in-house attorney and a contracted attorney. Once you have your full board in place, in fairness, that's probably something you want to revisit. The only thing I'll say about the Tuesday meetings is just realize that for infinity, it's been Tuesday.
Right.
And, the second Tuesday and the first and the third.
First and third.
But even if it's, you shifted it, Tuesday seems to be something, you just have to make sure to really publicize
Right.
the change, because it's kind of, there are people in the
Right.
community that's
They
just
they know when to
ingrained.
show up, right.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed, just so you know, that I'm not opposed to either of these here. I prefer having the attorney here in present.
I mean,
But
the workshop virtual,
honestly,
I don't think it's a
we
big
have
deal.
never had an issue with our attorney virtual
Yeah.
at a workshop. And some boards don't even have an attorney at a workshop. So it's an actually added value that we have as a board here that we do that.
And I will
So-
say, Mr. Delaney's been great. I mean, he really has been great, but there's a larger question out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, I have a question too. We had given you direction to negotiate a contract. When will the contract be presented for our new school board members to review?
Well, when will it be on the next agenda?
So we have the draft that was sent, and it's ready to go for next week.
The 19th?
Yeah, well, the 19th it will come to you for information, so it won't happen on the 19th. It will be a little bit delayed. It'll be the 3rd is when it will come, so that you don't see it in normal schedule, we would have a 1 o'clock on the 19th, and you would have seen it on the 1 o'clock, and since we're not having a 1 o'clock, you'll see it on the 3rd, December 3rd, if we stay with Tuesdays.
Yes.
So the contract to vote on for Mr. Delaney will occur after we pick the new schedule.
Yes.
Is that normal?
No.
Well, it's just the timing of things that, you know, it's.
We're not meeting at 1?
Right now, we have, so let me just ask Mr. Delaney, as the new board is gonna review this contract, and it's not gonna be, reviewed until after our reorganization, would you be able to keep the Tuesday dates through December, as we have been doing? To see that?
One way or another, I'll make it happen.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I do work in a larger firm, so I can have some support and backup if needed, even if it's covering something else, so I can be here. So I will work that out. I also just have to emphasize that I know you folks are coming on as new board members, and you're immediately being presented with these questions, and we haven't had the benefit of working together. Once you have had the chance to look at the contract, please get in touch with me with any questions. I did make sure to make it absolutely clear that you are not being stuck with an attorney that is not of your choosing. So anytime the board, you know, by a majority vote wants to go in a different direction, we are absolutely going to facilitate and make that happen. It's too important of a relationship to feel like you've been handcuffed into dealing with me, and that's not what I want. I know it's not what you want. So we built that into the contract that I presented to Mr. Furry without any, you know, without question. It wasn't a request that I add that in or anything. So.
And it's a really simple contract. It's not a convoluted 30-page contract. It's just a few pages. It's easy to digest and understand. So, but I definitely encourage you to talk to Mr. Blaine directly with that. Okay. All right. So that would mean that we may just on the reorganization just stay with our, if the dates are fine, and we just move forward with that. And if we have to change them after December meeting, then we'll do that, address that then. So unless there's another reason to change them. Okay. All right, so if we're done with that, we'll move on, and we're moving down now to financial consent.
Good afternoon,
Welcome.
Chairman Furry, board members, and Superintendent Moore. Ms. Whitmore and I are here to answer any questions you have on 9.01 through 9.10 finance consents.
So we are at 901, approval of Imagine school financials. Any questions for Ms. Warmack on those financials? Okay, hearing none, I will move forward to 9.02. We have request for board approval of purchase orders over $10,000.
What is the softball complex, is that like indoors?
It's at FPC, and it's outdoors. It's renovating the entire softball complex out there.
Yeah.
It has not been touched in a
Long
very,
time.
very long time.
100
Very
years.
long
Yes.
time.
I didn't want to go there, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If there are any other questions for 9.02, we'll move on to 9.03, approval of vendor payments. Okay, if we don't have any questions there, we'll move on to 9.04, request board approval of deletion of inventory assets. See the usual old laptops and,
Timing of inventory.
yeah. So nothing concerned there from what I can see. So we will move on to 9.05, request for approval for financial budget amendments. Okay, if there are no questions there, we will move forward to 9.06, board approval of professional development travel. Okay, so hearing no questions, we'll move forward to 9.07, approval of district financial statement.
I have a question. Okay, for months, I've been asking that we somehow segregate the costs that the district is putting out in legal fees. And it's not happening. So when I reviewed the financial documents, I realized with covering sniffing and spelling costs, as well as Weiss and Sirota, the month of September, we put out a total of $24,646. Because of the current situation with the attorneys and the structure that we want to follow, I would like to see that split better for our new board members particularly, as well as the community, so they can actually see how much money are you spending and which is for the district and which is for the school board, because then they will know what's going on. You know, and if you can do something like that, Patty, I think it would be really helpful.
Sure, can I ask you what page on the
37,
financials you're looking at?
31, page 31, I have.
So, vendor reports?
I don't know, I didn't write down which report. I think it was
This on
financial.
A district financial
I
statement.
think it's district, was where we are, district financial.
We're at 9.07.
Yeah.
That request was, with the outgoing in-house attorney last year, that was requested to track for the rest of the fiscal year. That's something we can easily just add back to this.
I think it would help.
It's all separate
Because we know we have
purchase
Sniffen and Spellman now that's doing district. Eventually, we will have an in-house, and that's been since January. Okay? Long time passed. We still don't have an in-house, but they're working on it. I know that's going to happen eventually. Now we're adding the school board attorney, which I think is ridiculous with 9 schools, but regardless, if that's the case that the new school board wants to follow, I really want to see how much money is being set for each one of
Sure.
those topics.
Sure.
Because they're very different. You know, they're very different. And, you know, we have not ever had to consume those double responsibilities in the past. And I think the community especially needs to know, what are we spending? So if you look at 25,000, close to 25,000 in September, multiply that times 12 a month, we're spending an awful lot of money. You know, and that's just a rough estimate. I understand
Sure.
that. And I want people to see specifically, what are we spending?
I will
on
add
legal-
this same report.
Yeah, that would be
we
helpful.
previously did last fiscal year.
That would be very helpful.
To district financials
I
each
think it will
month.
help the new board members immensely to see how much is really coming out of and how conservative are we being in our expenses. I would like that. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. And if there are any other comments or questions, we'll move on to 9.08.
This is the fiscal year end audit report for our charter school. This is done by an outside CPA firm. I will just bring your attention to a couple items on here. On page 11 of the audit, which is page 14 of the PDF, you can see that they are ending with a fund balance of $1 unassigned. This has been consistent for the last several years as their parent company pays for their shortages. And if you look on page 24 of the audit report, which is also page 27 of the PDF, that is where the transactions with the charter school and their parent company is explained in detail. What page is that?
It's 24 of the audit report and 27 of the PDF. This is very similar outcome to the past several years, so you'll be able to see at the bottom of page 25 how much money they do still owe to their management company at $677,000. Last year was $746,000. That's the only comments I have, Chairman Furry, on that.
So can you restate that again? You said they are in debt to their management company?
If their ending fund balance, if you start on note 11, it explains the contract they have with their parent company. So if they end up in the negative, their parent company does bail them out per se, and it just keeps a running balance of what they owe them.
I see.
So they, in their contract, it states that they have to end with a $1 fund balance, and so that's what's been the case for the past couple of years.
So are they just waiting for funding to come in to?
The funding for the charter school is pretty consistent. It's based on student enrollment, just like us. And their student enrollment has been very consistent at about 850, 875. So they are pretty much maxed out with capacity.
So this remains a running debt to the management
To the-
company?
yes.
To the parent company?
Yes, and that is written into their contract they have with them, that they have to end at a $1 and the parent company will bail them out to get to $1.
And does that continually decrease on an annual basis? Has it ever been paid down or reduced?
It's actually reduced this year by about 75,000,
Okay.
65, 75,000. But it, for the past couple of years, they have
So
owed them.
do they just incrementally pay it back when they
Throughout
have
the
extra?
year,
Okay,
yes,
got it.
yes.
Got it. All right. Very good. All right. If there are any other questions, 9.09, board approval for audited financial statement.
9.09 is our audit for the Education Foundation.
Well, Patty, before you move
Sorry,
on,
go ahead.
On page 10, why is, when I look at their expenditures, where are their lease payments? Usually they're listed under operation or maintenance of plant. Like on page 10, I don't see it. I don't see it, really. And I'm wondering if they're showing it differently because they're using millage, the capital dollars.
Let me look into that because
that's odd
I
to
did
me.
see it in their notes, in that same note that I just pointed out. It does show how much they pay and it is a large amount.
I saw that, but it
I-
struck me as odd that it's
Yeah.
not in the actual spreadsheet.
No, I
'cause
completely
it's always
understand
in
what
the
you're saying.
spreadsheet.
You're on page, tell me what page
Well,
of the
there's
PDF.
10, anywhere that they've got expenses listed, they don't have it.
I see a
And it's
capital
usually
leased-
1.7 million.
Where at?
I see a capital assets leased asset building net on page 9 of the document and 12 of the PDF, but that's 10 million.
But that's under their liabilities, yeah.
That
That's
is
the liability of their
that's a-
lease.
That's a different accounting standard. Page 13 of the audit report, which is page 16, is where you should see it. The first page you referred to, Dr. Conklin, is what's called government-wide statements, and there's a lot of paper entries on there.
But even on 13.
But 13, yes, no, so let me look into that and see exactly where it's coming from,
Thank
because
you.
we see that on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
All the time.
So it
So
just
let
struck
me
me
just
as
look in
odd.
and see, and I'll send a email out. It is listed out later in the notes, as Ms. Ramirez mentioned somewhere.
Okay.
Because I do recall seeing that. 9.09 is the audit report of the Education Foundation for June 30th, 2024. This is a relatively clean report. There are just a couple comments about some year-end transactions. Ms. Rizzo has put in some new procedures in place to make sure that those year-end accruals do occur. Throughout the year, we work on a cash basis, as does Ed Foundation, and they have had changes in staff, so that I do not expect that to repeat next year.
Just a comment, after reviewing that, I think it's really a compliment to the entire team, because they're really bringing in a lot of money. And that money will benefit our students in the long run and our staff. So compliments to the Ed Foundation team.
Yeah, if you look on page 12, I did note that as well. Thank you for stating that. If you look on page 12, you can see that their revenues, page 12 of the audit report, have increased about $500,000.
Yeah, that's a lot
That
for,
is-
Yeah,
under these
it is-
circumstances.
it is big.
So that's good.
Significant.
9.10 is the annual report for the Flagler Auditorium. This, again, is a very clean report, no comments on this. And I do believe I saw the same thing on page 11. Their revenues have remained consistent, down a little bit, but their fund balance has gone up from last year.
Yep. Again, kudos to that team.
There is just one more annual report, which you'll see in December, for the school internal accounts. That's still being finalized.
Okay. Any further questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now move on to academic services, 11.01, agreement for the Flagler County Criminal Justice Mental Health and Substance Abuse Grant. Mr. Finelli.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Chairman Furry, School Board Superintendent Moore. I come this afternoon to you being the bearer of good news. So we were able to capture the Criminal Justice Mental Health Substance Abuse Grant, an expansion to the previous grant that we had for an additional 3 years. As you know, that grant pays for 2 positions within Flagler Schools, one that case manages our most needy students, and then the other one that supports Rise Up directly with providing social work and mental health services to all students in our alternative program. So this grant will be for an additional 3 years. It will provide up to $172,900 a year for 3 years, with a total of $518,000 coming into the district to pay for those 2 positions. It also pays for 2 positions with the Sheriff's Office as a co-responder model to work directly with youth that are involved in a traumatic incident in the home or in the community and provide resources and supports to those students. And then they also work with Flagler Schools so that we can have that continuity of care when the students return back to school.
Well, definitely great news.
Yes, that's a good one, for sure.
Any questions for Mr. Finelli? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so we'll move on to 11.02, instructional calendar update. Ms. Bassadet.
Hello. Hi. I know we spoke extensively about this at the last board workshop, so at this time, I'm just here to see if you have any questions or clarifying points that you need answered or addressed.
And remember, this is addressing our calendar for this year and the adjustments that we made to make up the instructional time that we missed for the hurricanes.
No, just thank you to you and the committee.
Yeah, that's a good.
Lot of work.
Yep.
And
Great job.
well maintained, yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Liz.
Okay, we're going to go on to 11.03, student travel consent. Mr. Reeves. Oh, sorry.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Reynolds, sorry.
Mr. Reeves is out of town, so I'll be taking these ones. There's 10 total trips. They're kind of bunched into 3 different categories. We have 5 FFA trips with FPC and BTMS, ranging from December through April. There's 2 Blue Steel trips from Matanzas, one in April and one in May. And then there are 3 MHS boys wrestling trips in December, January, and February.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Reynolds? Okay, we're all good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, operational services, we already did that, so we're going to move past that to human resources.
And 13.
Well, 11.04, staff travel.
11.0 was the
We don't
field
have any.
trips?
Yeah, no.
We did
Yeah,
that?
We don't have any, we're good,
Yep.
we're good.
1301?
So 1301 is an employee matter that will be brought forward before you for the 19th for a vote. It's not something that we will address here.
Okay.
Okay, all the information has been shared with you.
Very good. And then we'll move on to 13.02, Wellness Center Site Review and Determination. Mr. Friedman and Mr. Olet.
This has me very perplexed.
Chairman Furry, board members, superintendent. We are here to share with you some updates in hopes of seeking also some guidance from you moving forward on the 19th regarding the Wellness Center. Just to kind of brief update, the contract with Marathon that you had approved earlier in the year, we've been moving forward with. Originally, we had gotten to a point in discussions where we were looking at internal sites, and we had 2 on the table that at the time of our initial discussion with the contract seemed most feasible. At that time, as we began working through the process, we had 2 outside folks from within the community come forward with 2 possible outside sites. So we've been exploring that process with due diligence, and we're at a point now where we think we can bring you 3 possibilities as far as 1 internal site and 2 outside sites that we would kind of share as much information as we have and seek guidance regarding a next step. Our option 1 was the current Bell Terrace Swim and Racket in the Wellness Center. It meets our size requirements by over double. We've actually walked the site physically, our staff, along with some of Marathon staff and the virtual walkthrough along with of the build-out staff from Marathon.
I honestly think, Chairman, well, Furry, sorry, I'm right out of my head, sorry. Honestly, some of these agenda items, you're just gonna have to treat them like workshop items at the board meeting that night. In fairness to the new board members, because when Derek is here and then you've got the new board members that are sworn in, I think only to be fair, that is when it's more appropriate to go into detail for them that night. You know, and I know we don't typically do that, we do that now, but it's kind of a moot point.
Well, we can still review what
Yeah,
we
I
have
have some
here in
questions.
front of us. I mean, we can revisit it for sure and move that along, but we've got the information, so, and it's gonna be recorded. Board members can watch it online also. So let's proceed.
Okay. As part of that process, the initial Marathon estimated build-out cost was right around $475,000. And, you know, obviously, so that's where that was as far as location and accessibility. The Belterra Swim and Racket Club, we all know where that is. And Dave, you'd want to speak to any of that piece of the puzzle before we move on to the next one?
No, their estimated cost was about $300 a square feet. And it consistently was that number, or as we continued a couple months, it did increase just a little bit to about $325 a square foot. So this was the original proposal that Marathon had in our contract, I believe.
Yes.
Does that build out include the equipment, the beds and all that?
My understanding is the equipment and the beds, yes, on the side for the clinic, yes. That's part of the build-out in
This build-out is for the construction build-out. There is a separate line item.
Thank you.
For the equipment, supplies, and so forth.
Okay,
that
so
is
for
in
an
the
apples to
contract.
apples comparison, everything we're looking about here is just build out.
It's just build-out cost,
Right.
that is correct.
Gotcha, but because the others are gonna be the same pretty much for either scenario, okay.
Yeah, and that cost is in the contract at $150,000, but it's not part of that slide, so.
On the option 2, it says owner. Are they, does that mean the owner will build it out, or are we building that out? I'm sorry, I'm on page.
She's on to the
Oh,
next
you
option,
jumped
so go
ahead.
ahead to the next option.
Gotcha.
I'm going to let Dave speak a little bit more to option 2.
Okay. We, as Mr. Allett alluded to, we were approached by several community members about option 2 and option 3. Both of them were in the city center. One was on the second floor, one was on the third floor. The size was a little bit larger. We knew that we wanted a minimum square feet of 1,500 square feet. Both of them were at the 1,800 square foot range. For option 2, it was a lease. That was the second floor. It was a lease agreement with them. It was basically a 3-year lease, which was $4,500 a month. There was the CAM, the common area maintenance, was included in that, although that CAM is increased every year depending on what the numbers come back for the building, and so that was, in this particular instance, it was included. The lease would increase after that 3-year lease. The owner estimated build-out cost was $410,000. The owner has a contractor, and we did provide a memorandum from the owner on board docs where the owner has a contractor that he works with, and it is a medical professional that does build-outs basically down in Ormond. It's Beaumont Construction. And part of this agreement was that the owner would contract, or that builder would be used. Our contract is with Marathon. And so all during this process, Marathon has asked us, do you know any contractors locally? Because they're out of state. So In this case, we would offer up this particular builder for this build-out.
But we pay for the build-out still.
Yes, it would be through Marathon. That is correct. The lease includes the predetermined contractor. The owner offered to contribute $25,000 to those costs. There is some existing furniture in that, on that second floor. I believe, Mr. Furry, you walked that second floor with me about a couple months ago. So some of that furniture would be able to be used. And then the last bullet on there is the location accessibility. You see where that's located. It's downtown city center. It's a easily accessed location.
Does it have an elevator?
It does. There's a common area, restrooms on the outside on both the second floor and the third floor.
In this case where you're saying that essentially the agreement is to use the landlord's contractor, how does that not fall under a requirement to bid that out with, like, and get 3 different proposals?
Because our contract is with Marathon. And so we have contracted with Marathon.
Okay.
Marathon then would be in turn contracted.
I see. So
Yeah.
really it's like the subcontractor we're working, okay, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am.
I think the city center is beautiful, but as far as money goes, obviously the best option is to just stay with Belterra and save money.
Yeah, so what is the net difference here between the two? It's clear we would not have any rent at Belterra. So we're looking at if we did with option 2 or 3, we'd be paying $54,000 a year, including CAM. With a 410, can you clarify again, owner, 410K?
That's what the owner estimated. He had his
Just an
builder.
estimate, but
Yes.
they're not paying that, we are paying that amount, right?
Yes. That is
Okay,
correct.
just to make that clear.
Right.
But they're willing to contribute $25,000 toward the build-out.
That is correct.
In option number 2, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you could go to option number 3, I'll wrap it up with that. That's basically the same amount of square footage. Would, again, require a 3-year lease. The lease is a little bit less, but it's not, the CAM is not included, so it basically equals out. Marathon's estimated build-out cost for the 3rd floor, this was Marathon's estimate, not another builder. They're saying it's about $500 to $550. And then again, it's the same location accessibility option there. So we do not have estimates, we don't have hard estimates back from the builder for either Belterra Pool or for these 2 locations here.
Like I said, I think this sounds like a future workshop item. Just saying.
What is the timing that we need, because we had some estimated dates that we wanted to have this open by. Where are we on that timeline as far as you getting direction from this board on which of these 3 options to go forward with?
We need direction soon. And this, what this is before you because we have our building that we own. However, when we have we've been introduced to these options, we did not want to speak for this board and say that you were not interested in having it somewhere else. And so we just need direction from you if we are going to continue with our inside as we had planned, or if you are interested in going to a different location, because as soon as we get the build-outs back, like we're ready to go.
So
Marathon says that our decision on a build-out location puts us in basically a 4-month window to completion. So you gave us direction on the 19th. We speak with Marathon, they'd move forward, and they're giving us a 4-month window to go ahead and get to a complete state would be their estimate. I've spoken with the folks from Advent, and we're still month to month, and we're good with that all the way through till April now.
Guys, I'm going to say this again. Honestly, it's not fair. This is a big deal, and there's a lot of background and a lot of information that needs to be shared and really fully put out in front of the new board members. It's really, I don't know how anybody could be expected to take action on that on Tuesday
About
night.
it then also.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, it's just the matter.
Right, but are you gonna go back and do the whole, I
Well,
mean,
we-
they
we
don't,
can
the
talk
whole
about-
presentation from the group on what that is and what that looks like. I'm just saying,
We're
I
only
think
talking about
everybody needs
location
to
and
be
lease.
very, very conscious and aware of the fact that you've got a majority of new board members coming on board.
But we do have two of the board member elects here in our presence
Yeah,
today.
but I get that,
And we're not
but they don't
talking-
have all the background and the information.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but at the same token, we have a moment here to have a conversation. We're all here right now.
But they don't, nobody has given them the background.
Okay, well,
are you saying we shouldn't
we're
vote
here
on
to,
this?
this is
No,
a, this is
they're
a
not.
workshop, Colleen. We're trying to have the discussion on this agenda item that we have before us right at the
What I'm
moment.
trying to say, Will, is you've put them in an unfair position by not giving them all of the background. All I'm simply saying is in order for people to make an educated decision, they have to have all of the information.
Well, let's start talking about that now, okay? So let's move.
Well,
forward.
first I'm confused.
Okay.
I'm confused. Here's what I'm confused about. I'm confused that I thought that we were very clear that the.
Sorry, Bobby.
The new build-out was going to be in the Belterre Swim and Racquet Club facility. This new proposals are really delaying what I thought we
They
were
are-
already past and
Yeah,
doing.
they are not delaying because this information still was coming back before you around the layout. That is not delayed at all. So we did not, again, do not want to speak for the board as to where, if you
I
are
get that.
interested in or in it
These are
not. So
just
it's not,
additional options being presented, but I'm just saying, let's talk out these options here, please. I'm gonna call it back to me here. Okay, where we're talking about here is that we have three, right now, staff has brought us two additional possibilities, right? Initially, we were going to go with that seemed to be the direction, we were gonna go with the Belterre facility. The new options were presented, so we can start some dialogue here on this, is that it's clear that if we go to the lease route, the benefit of would be in these buildings is more of an image thing. They're all gonna function properly, right? So the board has already put this is all happening. The health center is already voted, it's gonna happen. This is just the location and two additional options to consider. The Belterre site, we own it, we're not gonna pay any rent, we're just gonna have that build out, and we just have our cost of operating that building. These additional options, they add significant cost to this, to the project, which equates to, over the next 3 years, over $150,000,
Right,
$160,000.
and all I'm saying is that you should be discussing this with your new board.
So next week, are you saying do not vote on this?
I don't know how you vote on it when they don't have all of the information.
Well, there's not a lot, this is not a lot, there's not a lot to think about here, Dr. Gunn. This is, we've got, we have three options here. There's not a lot of backstory that goes into this decision. It is merely, do we want to stay with no lease, right? Or,
I'm not sure that the question is as black and white, because I would like to know, as you move forward with this information, do you then go back and analyze and say, knowing this cost now, is this still better than, let's say, investing more in the contribution of the healthcare that's provided by the school board, or is this really within the budget that we were anticipating? So I'm assuming that you guys decided, okay, let's go forward with this as a way to get this healthcare cost under control, which is causing some of our employment issues. But the question is, as you go down this road with these numbers, I'm not sure if these build-out numbers are new to you, does that now need to go back and be reevaluated based upon what you projected that cost benefit to be?
No, this has all been, we've already signed the contract with the management company, Marathon, that's what we're referring to.
Location.
All we're talking about here at this moment is just a location. So essentially, it really boils down to, both of these locations could clearly facilitate the needs, and there are merits that one might have over the other. But from a financial perspective, it's clear that the lease adds a lot more expense, and the question is, do we want to take on another $150,000 over the next 3 years for a Class A building? Do we think that brings value for participation? Would somebody, the only reason I could think personally is why we would choose a Class A building like this, location-wise, is one, accessibility, secondly, perceived value of those that are using it, and would we have more participation if we were in a more attractive building, right? But at the same time, you know, at $150,000, that might be a large pill to swallow for the extra prestige of the location.
And with the
right?
build-out funds, you know, this is a special kind of construction, right? Medical, you probably, I don't know. I would imagine you have some sort of oxygen requirements, storage. I know this is probably your area. So, but are we sure those numbers are accurate then, based upon those locations? Because if Belterre is more antiquated, is it really as easy to build out as this other spot, which it's a newer building, and they're saying that would be $500,000?
And that's a good question. And what would you see any challenges, would we have less challenges at the leased building versus the building that we already own?
At Belterre Pool, that is a concrete slab, so part of the construction cost for that building is actually digging up part of the slab in order to run your plumbing and, you know, some electrical through the building.
Has that been accounted for?
That was in Marathon's initial estimate.
Do they already have showers and things at the?
No.
At the
It's not like
Showers
regular.
where?
Yeah.
At the gym, like the old gym.
There
Yeah, so I
are,
was thinking concrete.
there are 2 bathrooms at the gym that are not going to be touched that do have showers in them.
Yeah, not like.
Oh.
Well, so here's, outside of any additional questions you have, right? Here's what I think we should do. Is
Can I ask
that
a question?
yes, go ahead.
Well, just, it was.
Yeah, do you have a?
So, and this is, and I understand, you know, with the different locations, and I've been following, you know, school board because, you know, I think a lot of the community does, so my question is going forward, and again, I'm a new school board member, is this normal for this to pop up just for me or any other members? Because I would have researched this a lot more if I had the opportunity, and I will research, obviously, because this is my job. But I just want to be prepared for the future when stuff like this comes up. And I get it, it is nice to look at other opportunities and locations, but I was sold on what I've been, you know, following as a parent, as a member, as a candidate, and now as a school board member. So when this happens again for anything, is this normal or is this to be expected? I'm just, you know, to make sure we have the right.
It's a transitional thing. Merely, this is something that we've been working on as a board for a period of time.
That's what
Right, but this is just, the backside of this has already been decided. We've already have contractual agreements to move forward with the health center. This merely is only about a location item. So here's what we can do. We have it on for the 19th meeting. You have this week to engage with staff, get additional information. Remember, we're only talking about a location, and if we're willing to invest the extra money for the value of a nicer place. That's really what this comes down to. It's not a heavy lift. But we can, is this an action for? Yes. Yeah, so we'll have discussion at the 19th meeting on this here. And, if we can't find, if we can't get a motion to approve, we could table it and bring it back to another board meeting. But I don't want to hold up the process here if it's unnecessary. But if it's clear that there's you just have not had enough information, I think it's very fair for you to ask for this to be motion to table it to the next meeting. We can do that. But you have a week to digest this here. And oftentimes that's what we do with these decisions. We get the information at these workshops. It just so happens that this time we normally would have 2 weeks, but because of the election, this got moved a little closer. Sure. So yes, it is only a week, but it's really not I think it's something that's reasonable to think that you might be able to come to a decision within the next week. But if you can't, I agree with Dr. Conklin. If you can't, then we can workshop it some more. But we just want to be sensitive to the timeline to get this open at the same time.
Clarifying question, were there any other proposals for what to do with the Belterre space? I know that at a previous board meeting, there was some discussion about having a Y facility built, but they need us to have the facility in order for, and then they just come in and run it.
They're not.
Is there anything on the
just to let you know, this has been talked about, and I'm glad you brought it up, but it is real. There's no interest, there's been no interest in them with that facility, and they've made it pretty clear they do not want that property because it's too aged, they'd have to redo everything anyways. It would be wonderful if they did, because we would all like to see the Y come here, but they've made it clear that's not a property that they're interested in building it on.
And Mr. Chair, I would be, this next week, if you would like to meet with me or Bob on this, or go tour any of these facilities, I could set those up where you could go look at the second floor, third floor, Belterre
And
pools.
you've spoken to a contractor who's versed in this, who's looked at this space?
We've spoken to.
So if it's not good enough for the Y, I worry about it for a medical.
We've spoken to and actually had the walkthrough with their design team for Marathon is out of Colorado. And so we did a video walkthrough with them, actually on the video walking through. They are like the #2 contractor for wellness centers and clinics for educational institutions in the United States. We've toured a Class A site at Lakeland, which was a city government site, which was, basically a storefront that had been adapted. I know that my folks actually went out and toured the St. John's site, which actually is a portable classroom on the high school out there. I've toured sites, in Volusia County, which is the independent contractor sites out of the Florida Blue derivative. So there's a whole range. The $475,000 is the estimate that did come from Marathon specifically for that site.
Yeah, I just want to add that, for what it's worth, as Dr. Conklin has been saying all along, that we had it pinned that it was going to be in Belterre Swim and Racquet Club. A couple of people show up and they want to move it to a new location. Belterre Swim and Racquet Club is somewhat unique that portable building is newer, and it would be perfect for the need. What's nice is we own it, and that's what Chair Ferry is saying. The choice is, do you want to continue to pay a lease, which is going to increase? We're already getting into a large lease with the county for the build-out and everything that's taken place at the old government building. Financially, it just makes a lot of sense. And you know what? When you're getting free health service, you're going to go to a trailer. And that's what St. John's is doing. You're going to go to a trailer. It doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside, as long as you're getting good health service. And I find it difficult to think that this district's going to go ahead and pay a lot more money with a lease that's going to increase annually. And we know that, so that price is always going to go up. And who knows what's going to happen, but that's just my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, we'll take all that into consideration, 100%, absolutely. Yep. Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, any other questions on this agenda item? Okay, so then we will move things forward here. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. We will go on to 13.03, Adult Disabilities Program, job description.
Chairman Furry, we bring you forward 2 job descriptions. One is a revision to the existing job description. It was the manager position, which is an administrative position. We've moved that to to a supervisor position, and that's in line with where we are as far as our org chart, as far as leadership. You'll find program supervisors in my office, in the custodial services office, and so this would be moved in from the manager role to the supervisor role. We worked on opening up the qualifications so that it was an either or. So as far as the associate's degree or the accredited college piece, we can substitute that for verifiable direct experience. A lot of the knowledge and abilities as a grant-funded program have not changed, and some of the duties, if you could scroll up for me. Okay. We've just kind of clearly stated just some of the general information and as far as what exactly is the individual IEP plan, and it's just some of the background information. Can we continue to scroll? Thank you. Okay. And we've just outlined some of the direct information as far as Medicaid waiver invoices and the overseeing, which would be in the administrative lane, and the compliance piece as far as licensures. So that's this job description. In all, it's not a huge amount of revisions. Let's see the next one, please. This new one, there is currently a grant specialist position in the org chart in the FTC org chart. This is a grant specialist position that's specific to this grant, which is the Adult with Disabilities grant, and it's in keeping as far as a professional level that would do two things. One, keep them in line with the grant requirements that they have, which is somewhat unique, whereas a large majority of this program is funded through grants. And then in addition to that, it also adds some supervisory duty as far as at the level of working with their clients. Please, you're the expert on this.
So this job description replaces the job skills coach. So it's not a new position, it's a change. And what these two job descriptions do is basically separate the grant or the allocation from legislation from the Medicaid dollars, so that Jean's retiring at the beginning of January, and so that we are able to have two separate people specialize in those areas and make sure that we meet the parameters of both of those items. This also comes with a fiscal impact of a cost savings of almost $23,000.
Okay. Are there any questions on these, on 13.03? Okay, so hearing none, we're going to thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, so 13.04, approval of personnel items.
When we get to workshops, we always have basically the starter list for what will be our final personnel items list that you will see at the next board meeting. This is the current working document as we add and edit between now and the 19th.
And as requested, I think it was from Ms. Macero, this will get updated again on Friday, and then updated again right before the board meeting.
Okay. Very good. So, any other questions for Mr. Ouellette? All right, we're all set. Thank you, sir. Okay, so now we will move on. Okay, so all the rest is for our business meeting here. So we will now move on to public comment, and I'd like to welcome anybody that would like to come forward, especially to give well wishes to our departing school board members, Dr. Conklin and Ms. Cheryl Massaro. I'm sure she'll be back here in just a moment. But do we have anybody signed up for comment right now?
Mr. Fuller signed up earlier.
Okay.
part of this comment was for Colleen.
Okay.
And we know that this has been a long one.
Yes, I'm sorry for everybody that came.
But
and
you
the
know
ones
what?
that had to
I'm
leave, I
sure
get it.
that these individuals did not mind spending 2 hours with you doing this when you have spent 20
I don't know about that. I think it's gonna
years.
cost me later
You know,
at the
it may
bar.
cost you later, but you know, it's okay.
And for the public, if you can't see the audience, it's packed in here, so.
We did not think it was going to take this long, for sure.
Okay, so go ahead, Mr. Fuller. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Honorable Chair, honorable board members, Shaka, distinguished guests. It's hard to sum up in the words your career, your leadership, your dedication, your commitment, your get-it-done attitude, your institutional attitude. Those things are paying, well, they have paid big dividends, and this is self-evident today at this job. We all learn every day. We all like to say we know everything. We don't. It's always learning on the job. This is a big responsibility. Every one of your positions is. But it's when you don't share that knowledge, boy, it's a tough one. I'm a little older, or probably the oldest person here, so I'll do a line from Eagles. You can check out any time you want, but you can't ever leave. And I'm sure no one knows, but I'll Google it for you. But I've seen.
I'm very familiar with that phrase, Ed. I don't know.
You and I are maybe it. But that said, I have been witness to many meetings and have attended, and I was always amazed and astonished how effortlessly you take complicated matters and break it down to a common man like myself. I can't thank you enough. And to the new board members, you just saw exactly a wonderful example of what it means to be a leader on this board. I don't want to choke up. It's not a good idea because this is a happy, you're not retiring. You're going on to something else if you already have something else.
I was locked down.
No,
and
Safety
finally,
and security.
finally, somebody saw me
Security
and they
works.
said, they saw me and they let me in.
But I want to say from the bottom of my heart, and for all the children here, all the adults, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed.
And now that you've come back, Cheryl.
Sorry, Ed.
That's all right.
You almost missed it.
You get 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's
good.
Now you get 40. Thank you so much. Your leadership, your perseverance, and I love your civility. That's really, it's missing today. Not here on this board, but it's missing in our society. If you're not civil and respectful, it's kind of hard to see the other person's viewpoint. And that matters here. Words matter. They always have and they always will. So I want to thank both of you ladies for all your dedication, your commitment, and you really changed the face of this board. And you were a shining example of what it means to be a wonderful board member here. Thank you so much, and God bless you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ed, we'll do Culvers. We always meet up at Culvers. By chance, too.
Madam Superintendent, Mr. Furry, Chair, school board members, welcome aboard. Phyllis Pearson, and I just want to say that my interactions with both of you have been all about kids. They call me the quiet storm because we just address the issues at hand. And some people when they don't know that about you and you go behind closed doors and let them see who you really are, it is an open discussion that most of them are welcome. And you have welcomed, Cheryl, every question I've ever had. I can call. I remember being in meetings far in the distance, going down south, and it's like, well, she's on that board, that southeastern board of some kind, with the students and kids that were struggling. GJJ, you just name it, that whether or not the kids were struggling, that's the whole point, is to bring them some hope. through resources. And so I want to thank you for making sure that there are always possibilities. I remember a school board member a long time ago, someplace else, asked me were the kids, I worked with them on a project, and were the kids educable? And I asked her, what are you doing on the school board if you don't believe that every single person is educable? You know, it just was opposite. And I said, so I gave some examples, and one of them I'll give for you is that you always believe in all the possibilities, and then you push and shape and help people and ask the tough questions. You can't fake this stuff, I'm telling you. You just have to be real and you face forward and get it done. Always on the side of the child, because guess what? They have due process. You know? So I just want to say they have the rights, you know, and we know that. But I just want to thank you, and hug, and hopefully we'll continue to work with about kids in the future, and families. Dr. Conklin, I don't know what to say except a long time ago it was no coincidence that we were at Benella Elementary School together.
That's right.
During the time when things, if you think it's challenging now, all I can say is, okay. So the world was flipping upside down, changing the location of the homeschool zone. I mean, it's just all of the kinds of things that are challenging.
Yeah.
But right now what you know is there's hope to get things done together. And so I really love and appreciate you and all of the scientific research that we've done together that still answered the question that the child is first, comes first, family is necessary, and all the resources and partners are critical. You know, the universities and how we work together with our church, our faith-based community, whatever that might be. And so it's really an honor to have worked with you all these years. And I just treasure our hopeful continued relationship in working for children and families in this community and making sure that AI doesn't control us. Thank you very much.
We're just getting started.
We're just
getting
started. There
started.
for a good reason, and we'll use it the right way and help the children know what lanes to go down, and working with the school system, that's going to be critical. So we'll concentrate on making sure they stay safe in that space. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Well, well, well. You know, I have to say that I'm very proud of both of you. In your whole career, the children have always been number one, without a doubt. I remember back when, well, we both have 24 years, and
Yeah, long time.
I have 2 years on the service district, but
Yeah.
I will say this. She came from schools in New York, and some of the local people didn't know her, and they're saying, well, what's this kid gonna do? She come from New York, you know. I said, no, this kid has come home. She's from Flagler Beach, hello.
There you go.
And, you know, I have personal experience watching you guys over the years, and it's remarkable how you stay focused. Meetings are tough, without a doubt, and when you're coming in new, it's difficult, you know, because some people say, we've already handled all that. You know, you just vote. Well, that's not the way it works. You're going to do a good job, I'm sure. Cheryl made an outstanding difference in Carver Gym and the youth center.
Yes.
And that was a Flagler County project, putting in the new center, youth center, and you did an extraordinary job there. When you see school children walk around and you talk about school board, and they say, well, I know Cheryl Massaro, she is so awesome, she's like one of us, she's a team member, and she made a difference in many, many children's lives. And the same goes for Colleen. You know, you made such an impression, not only in the community, in the county, but raising your children. You did an outstanding job, and I know also as a parent, the sacrifices we make, and your children have made you proud over and over again, and it shows. You know, I always believe in show me the parents and I'll know their children, and show me the children and I'll certainly know their parents, and it really works with you guys. And you did an outstanding job with your niece. I've met her several times, and she thinks the world of you. And all I can say is that you guys made a difference. You don't have that, and your legacy will continue. There's no sitting back. I thought I could retire 9 years ago.
Didn't happen.
And part of my problem is I haven't learned how to say no.
I was gonna say.
And I'm proud to say I still do all the tours at the Princess Place. But this is about you and all the accomplishments. You know, 24 years is no easy task. 6 terms in office. I only know one other person that has done that, a little Italian guy, you know well. And it's not easy, you know, every 4 years running for office, because you're going to be judged by what have you done for me lately. And, you know, you've had some ups and downs with fighting and battling on different issues and whatnot. And I will say one thing, both of you, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And you guys have done an outstanding job, and I'm just proud to be a friend. And afterwards, we'll get some more pictures for you. I like taking pictures. It's kind of like my therapy. But, well, you're doing a good job. Remind me of Mr. Darby.
That's a name.
Well, no, and I mean that in a good way, because he knew he could talk, and he took care of.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
A while back.
He took care of a lot of things,
Yep.
you know, without a doubt. But as a member of the board, when I wasn't chairman, it was kind of hard to get a word in edgewise, but we all manage. And, you know, when you got something to say, stick with it. You know, and I think you guys are going to do a good job. We're proud of you, and we're proud for people that serve the public. People don't realize the sacrifices you make, and when you're running for school board, you know, some people think, oh, we're just going to vote on things for children. Well, you see, there's going to be building issues and construction and contracts and this and that, and I was a little surprised you don't have public comments in between agenda items on certain things. So I didn't say nothing, but I'm going to make one comment. When I first became a commissioner in 1992, Hunters Ridge came up. And I'm looking at the agenda item, and I'm like, oh, this is like...
Never goes away.
Well, yeah. It seems like we
a
just
long
changed
time.
the page and it's the same subject. So I'm not going to say nothing negative, but... They do like to...
It's on its way.
Extend,
Hopefully we'll get it done.
extend. But
You'll get it
it's
done.
cool.
No, these
But-
are new ones. These are new
Well, in
ones.
short, it's like Groundhog Day, working with Hunters Ridge. So anyway,
good
God bless
analogy.
you, and thank you for what you do. And we know you're going to be around for a long time. And Cheryl, we might even see you at the social end
Yeah.
coming up one of these days.
I'm sure.
Right?
I'm sure you will.
And Colleen will always be there for you. I love you guys dearly, and have a good job, and thank you all for what you do. And it's kind of interesting, I was kind of observing your attorney over there, and I said, that guy stood up for the longest time. Geez, you better get him a stool. But anyway, good job. Everyone take care.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, George.
John.
Thank you, George. Love
Appreciate you.
I'm
Yes,
sorry
we
for
love
going
you.
on, but you know, I don't get to talk much at home.
No, we love you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Oh, Lord.
Where would like to come up next? And we really want to hear everything.
Thank you,
Yes.
both of you. Love you dearly. On behalf of our children and of arts and education, I thank you as myself, Linda Cole, and I thank you as a member of the governing board of the Flagler Auditorium. God bless you both. We wish we could clone you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. All right. Next speaker, please. Is anybody else signed up for comments?
We done?
Okay.
Oh, here comes somebody.
We got it.
Let's get,
They all got
this
to
one's
stretch
coming for
their
you, I
legs.
think. That look tells me.
I had a lot of teachers come to me and say, what are we going to do now? The person that fought for us is now leaving. Fought for administration, fought for the kids, is now leaving. What are we going to do? I said, oh no. I said, I think today I've seen some real people shine. And I think we're going to be okay. But to have you two that have supported us supported all kids, no matter their religious beliefs, political beliefs. You supported the child. You knew what they needed, and that was so important. You can't forget that in this job. That is most important of all, is that we are here for the kids. We are to protect the kids, the safety of all kids, no matter their sexual background, their religious background, their race, their education. We are here to support them. And you have done that through this all. With people coming to your house, not very nice, threatening you. You have stood your ground and helped so many people, and we are forever grateful. And I'm glad that you're going to stick around in the background to help our wonderful superintendent keep going strong and doing what she's got to do, because she's great, and we are so lucky to have her, and she needs our support. So thank you. Thank you both so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Chairman, Vice Chair, board members.
Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
We apologize.
Thank you for everything you've done. These people should be an inspiration. Dr. Conklin. Yesterday was Veterans Day. So many thanks were given out. They pale in comparison to what you deserve for 24 years. I want to say thank you. You get a big hug from my wife right now. Words don't do justice. I love you.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, very nice.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anybody else that would like to come forward now to make any public comments?
If not, I will make a public comment, and I'll ask if you will bring, we have some special things for the two of you. I want to start with Miss Macero. You know, Miss Macero, if you do not know, and you can put it over there, Ned, and we'll get pictures at the end and all of that. Miss Macero was the person that sat, I think, right there in that spot, you know, and said, why are we looking for a superintendent when we have one? However, what you guys may not know, of all of the board members, Miss Macero is the hardest on me, for sure. She is on top of me. But what I also appreciate, Miss Macero, is not only are you willing to correct, but you're willing to comfort. And I appreciate that. And I remember looking at a portion of my evaluation, it was like, she marked me well, but sometimes in this narrative, I don't know if she's still liking her choice. But she sat before me, and in our reflection, you reminded me of why you thought I was a great idea, and you reminded me of how important it is to pace myself out, and to keep kids first within Flagler schools. And so I just want to say thank you so very much for all that you have done for Flagler schools. Thank you for what you have done for me personally to help me grow this year. 1 year, it's only been like 1 year and 2 weeks that I've been a superintendent, for the record. You know, it may seem like
I'm sure it feels a lot
like 1
forever.
year and 2 weeks, I think it is. But I want to say thank you so much, because I can count on you to, like I said, correct and to comfort, and we need that. And so thank you so very much. And Dr. Conklin, thank you. Dr. Conklin, you make us better, for sure. You make us better, because oftentimes when we're preparing for meetings, we do say, okay, but what are the questions that Dr. Conklin is going to ask? And I'm like, go back, because you know she's going to want this, she's going to want to see it, and so you help us to be better. And I appreciate you so very much, and I agree. We know that you won't be sitting in this spot, but we know that you'll be sitting in that spot, and if you're not in that spot, you'll be watching online, or you will be available for a phone call. And so we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for all that you have done for Flagler Schools. We appreciate the two of you, and we wish you all the best. And I just want to take a moment, I know some have left, but I want to just take a moment for our building leaders and our department leaders to just stand up, and just so you can see them here in the audience for you and for you, Ms. Macero. So if you are leading a building within Flagler Schools, Mr. Ruddy, stand up back there. Our building leaders here for you, and I know that some of them have left, and yes, we appreciate you guys so much. So my voice, but their sentiments to it. We are going to have some cake and things next door, and I heard that there may be an after party after the after party. I don't know anything about that, so you got to talk about that outside of this room. But we have a video and we have some other gifts that we will give to you, but we have a video for you, Dr. Conklin, that we want to share. If you do not see your video in the video, then don't worry, she will get it, but this is just a compilation of some of the videos that were sent on your behalf.
Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Wash, it's Elena.
Oh my God!
Congratulations on your retirement, and this is where it all started at PS5.
Oh my God!
Just being glad to say thank you for everything you did for us as we were here at PS5, and to know that you are going to be retiring soon. You deserve it, and I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you.
Thank you for all your support to Flagler Schools and the Flagler County Education Foundation.
Thank you, Dr. Conklin, for everything you've done these last 24 years for our students, for our teachers, for our families, and here in Flagler County. We are so grateful for you.
Thank you for your passion that shines through and through. See you on the water.
Hi, Dr. Conklin. We just can't thank you enough for making it happen for our students the last 24 years. But you have definitely left a legacy here in Flagler County. You will never be forgotten, and
we will miss you.
Hey there, Colleen. Congratulations on 24 years of outstanding service to the Flagler County School District. I had to wait until Friday night lights at FPC, at Matanzas and FPC here on campus, right? That's the best part about being school board members, is getting out on campuses. And it's not a better night than tonight. So I had to wait to get this message out to you, just to say thanks for all that you've done for 24 years. The 12 years we spent together on the board, I will always cherish it, and just want to thank you for all that you've done. Best of luck moving forward on your retirement from the school district.
Congratulations, Colleen. You've had a wonderful career on the school board, one of the longest ever. We've gone through a whole bunch of interesting times. I enjoyed my time on the school board with you. We might not have always seen eye to eye, but I think as people we understand each other, and we had a good time. Thanks again for everything you've done for the education of Flagler County, and that means a lot for a lot of people.
Hello, I'm Shelley Ragsdale. This message is for Dr. Colleen Conklin for 24 years in the Flagler school system. Colleen, I congratulate you for a job well done, for you being an educational and advanced leader, for the advocate for children and families. Thank you.
One thing that I love about Colleen Conklin is she supported all students, and she particularly always looked out for the underdog student. And I think that we had a promise at that time that we kept, that we would aim for a graduation 100, which was saying that 100% of students would graduate. And a lot of people could say things like that, but Dr. Conklin truly believed it, and she followed up on students and knew a lot of students as a school board member, so I thought that was pretty impressive. So not only did she have a belief in a graduation 100, but she had the actions to back it up.
So Ms. Walsh, I wish you nothing but the best. You were my 4th and 5th grade teacher
as well as with the teacher of my sister, Ivy. We've seen each other basically grow up. Unlike any other teacher that we've ever had, you followed us throughout our career. So even though we weren't our teacher anymore, you made sure we were doing okay when we went to junior high school, you followed us to make sure we went to college, made sure that we did great things, go do great things, as you say all the time. People just don't understand how much a good teacher can impact you as a child, with your career, just life in general.
Well, hi, I'm John Birdie, JB. Gosh, I'm interim chair of the Early Learning Coalition for all these years, and a member of the community here for all of Colleen Conklin's 24 years of service. We can't thank her enough. She helped raise my kids. She helped get us through a lot in our community, and being the early learning advocate I can't think of a better handoff than to school board members like her here in Flagler County who've done such a great job. We're going to miss her, but she will keep her her game sharp. So we appreciate you, Colleen. Thank you so much for everything on behalf of me and my family and everybody that I work with to fight the good fight for our kids. Thanks.
Dr. Conklin, on behalf of the Kansas Pirates, we'd like to thank you for your 24 years of dedication to Flagler Schools. Your passion, your care and concern for Flagler County will surely be missed, but we wish you the best of luck as you sail off into the sunset into retirement. Go Pirates!
Well, when I think of Miss Conklin and a great story, I think of waltz. Instead of telling those stories, we want to give a heartfelt thank you for your 24 years of dedication and service to Flagler County Schools. You have been so supportive throughout all of our careers, and to our school, you are going to be greatly missed, but we also know that we're missing a lot of you. Once a Bulldog, always a Bulldog, as always.
Go Dogs!
Dr. Conklin, Jason Wheeler here from the far reaches of the Florida Panhandle. I want to congratulate you on a job well done. During your tenure on the school board, I think one word sums it all up. That word is change. You've seen that humongous growth in the early 2000s in the school district to the bottom following out during the Great Recession. You've seen superintendents, principals, and teachers come and go. You celebrated gigantic wins in an A-rated school district and heartbreaking losses, such as that of Tom Russell. I've seen you at your highest and at your lowest, but through it all, your first and main priority, only priority, really has been the kids. Your kids, my kids, all of our kids. Of course, there are the times sitting in the back of those board chambers when we'd see that look. We've never suffered from
You got it.
even those who try their best to act. So I wish you only the best in whatever endeavors have in store for you, whether it's continued success in Embry-Riddle or maybe another trip back to the Emerald Isle. So from the Emerald Coast of Pensacola, Shelley and I thank you for being you, epitomizing what it means to be a public servant.
Hi, Colleen. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your faithful service to Flagler Schools and to our community. I wish you all the best in the future, and it's been an honor to serve with you over the last 2 years.
Everything that she could do, she could get to yes. One of the years was during the COVID time. We were unsure where we would have graduation, and after we had told all these kids to graduate and work with them to get them to that milestone, she wanted it to be special. She met with the Daytona Beach International Speedway, Chip Wiles at the time, and the class presidents from Kansas and FPC, and was able to broker a deal where we could graduate up the Speedway and the students could drive over the Speedway to accomplish their graduation over the finish line with their parents with them in the car. So she thought big and she made big things happen.
Ms. Walsh, we love you and congrats on your retirement. And again, this is where it all started, PS5. She also invited us to her wedding. So not many of us.
On the bus.
So again,
Oh, look at that. Oh,
again, congrats on your retirement.
Wow.
We have known Colleen ever since
Oh, Dr. Nye.
her youngest son was in a stroller when we first met her. And Jim encouraged her to get her doctorate. we're so happy to know that she's going to retire from the school board and have a life that she's entitled to. She's a wonderful person. We love her.
What would Dr. Jim say about all this?
I think he would say ditto. Yes, he is so fond of Colleen, and it's interesting when he's been in the hospital several times, and he has called her name several times when he's been in the hospital. And I don't know where that comes from, because in the morning, here at home, he'll call his father's name, he'll call his mother's name. He always asks me how I am, but he'd say Colleen every once in a while. And so I know that she's always a part of his thinking.
Wow.
Wow. We knew it would be special for it to end with Dr. Jim and Ms. Laverne.
Wow.
And so we're going to open it up for Ms. Macero and Dr. Conklin to share. We got some flowers coming for you ladies.
Thank you. Oh, that's you. Wow, they're beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. These are closing comments?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
These are your closing
Well,
comments.
being my
Being you, I'm sure it's
myself-
going to have me something to do here.
No, I'm actually just
gonna plug
reminding
the
everybody
teen
how
hall
well
right
the
there.
virtual Teen Town Hall went. And that we have another one coming up soon on career pathways, and our own Adam Blair is going to be the guest speaker for our students. And this is really taken off and growing nicely. And I will be continuing to participate in the virtual Teen Town Halls and the Teen Town Summit. Now, with that being said, I do have a closing statement. And I wrote it down because I learned from Dr. Conklin all through my career. And this is what I'm going to say. 4 years ago, I made it clear to my family, as well as the superintendent, that I was only planning on serving one 4-year term. It was my plan to do whatever I could to support all students and the continued growth of Flagler County School District. 2024 concludes my 49th year working in public education. That's a long time. To help everyone understand the logistics of the time frame, my first teaching contract within the top-paying school district in Pennsylvania was a whopping annual salary of $9,750. Imagine that, and I was thrilled, absolutely thrilled. Today, teachers' starting salaries is $47,500, and still not enough for the services they provide in molding our children's future. Throughout my years of service in public education, I've taught, coached, been a building administrator, a special district administrator, and was elected to serve on the Flagler County School Board. Throughout the years, I've witnessed a number of changes within my chosen profession, including the birth of charter schools and homeschooling, to today's school choice, virtual learning, and the necessity of career technical education. No longer are technical schools independent facilities, but today incorporated into the framework of every school building. Where public education is heading will remain to be seen. My deepest wish is that through this new evolution, we are careful not to dumb down American students, but instead consistently continue to raise the academic bar. I've spent my entire career supporting all students, regardless of their economic, social, religious, and political positions. I know that every vote I made during my past 4 years was for all students and not a select few. As I step away from the dais, I will continue supporting every student, their families, staff, and community members as a tax-paying citizen, requiring school board members, old and new, to do their jobs and earn their $40,000 annual salary. These past 4 years, I have had the luxury to serve next to Dr. Conklin, one of the best school board members ever. As we both retire, the loss of our educational background and history leaves a gaping hole in the school board. And I challenge all new school board members to step up and continue to move Flagler forward. Come to every meeting prepared, ask questions, attend district events, and assign liaison meetings, and be charitable towards community events. And most importantly, listen. You have been elected to represent all of Flagler County. And when you vote, always vote with consideration of the best decision for all Flagler Public School students. And with that, I end my term.
I really had all my closing remarks at the last board
I
meeting.
know you did. That's why I figured I'll leave
But
this one.
I'll share some thoughts. First of all, thank you for today, because it really did mean a lot to me. The video I will cherish. I'm so excited you got my students from New York City to share. And Dr. Gotts, that just... What I will say, I'll share some remarks. I'm going to have to read them. But, you know, the past 24 years, and sometimes it feels like it was yesterday. Other times it feels like it's been 100 years. But I will say this, that I've never been prouder than to serve this community and to serve our students, our teachers, our staff, and our administrators. Even though I always try to kind of keep a distance, I hope you all know that I was always in your corner. For our teachers, I promise you, there will be ears here to listen and a voice to speak for those that feel like they can't speak themselves. Looking back, I see how much our district has grown. It's adapted to new challenges and some very old challenges that still remain. I am so deeply honored that I have played a small role in that journey. Over the years, we've accomplished so much together. I remember when I first ran for board, I was out on a picket line before I ran, and we wore shirts that said, "I love teaching, but love doesn't pay the bills." Because we were, I think, 65th in the state for teacher salaries at that time. And for a period of time there, we were in the top 5. And I'm so proud of that. I've seen this district explode. When I first got on the board, there was only 6,000 students. And we've doubled, obviously, and our district continues to just really grow. Together, I think one of the things I'm really proud of is focusing on 100% of our students graduating, whether that was with a GED, a traditional diploma, or an industry certification in hand, but that every single one of our kids, no matter what ability, that they would leave with something in hand. It has been a journey that has mostly been filled with extreme highs and just an exceptional sense of pride. There have been challenges, and those have been throughout public education throughout this nation. I know I said it during my last closing comments, and I'll say it again. Public education is the cornerstone of our democracy. It is the cornerstone of our democracy. It is what brings us all together. It is the thread of who we are, and it has to be advocated for. It has to be treasured, and it has to be fought for. And I have no issue with the choice era that we're in, but we must never forget that those public tax dollars should be accountable and transparent, and they should support public education. Through hurricanes, budget challenges, a pandemic, everyone pulled together to work as a team the best they could. This district shined when faced with the adversary, any kind of issue. Was it ugly? At times. Did some of you get to see how the sausage was made? At times. But even in all of those trials and tribulations, I will say you this. Every person sitting at this dais cares about kids and has cared about kids. We just may all have a different way of getting there. But I am convinced that all of our school board members desperately care about kids. And we have to hold our members accountable. All of us have a responsibility for that. And I'm going to just kind of wrap it up because I know I've got friends that are like, girl, let's go. I'm not going anywhere. Please know I'm a phone call away. Now we can all talk to each other.
Yeah, we can. Now we can talk. This is exciting.
And to the future members of the board, I offer just a few words of wisdom. Always remember that the work that we do, it's really just about the students, but it's also about all of the people inside our family. This is Flagler family that touch students every day. Because if we don't take care of them, then they can't take care of our students. The value of listening to everyone, it can be difficult at times, but it is so critical. Be that trusted ear. I know I've frustrated a superintendent or two or three. But I think one thing you will always hear staff and teachers and even students and families say, it wasn't about who shared that information with me. It was about the subject matter of that information. And people need to know they can trust that when they share. So I wish you well. I'm excited. I think that all three board members that are coming on board are going to be exceptional advocates for our students and for children. And I think Will and Christy, between all five of you, Flagler is in a great position to move forward. Lashaka, you are among the best. That's one of the things I'm going to miss about leaving the board is working with you. So please know whatever you need, I'm a phone call, I'm a lunch, a coffee, whatever you might need. But it's not goodbye. It's I'll see you around. And I just want to thank the community. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my boys because the one thing I will tell you as a mom in this role, you will sacrifice. So I want to thank my sons for that and my friends who have tolerated me all of these years for all my ranting and raving about public education and advocating and this, that, and the other thing. Thank you. And then that's it. Just thanks for letting me serve. It's been an honor.
Would you like to say anything before we close out?
That was a lot to take in. So we're just closing comments. So I thank you for everything. It's been amazing, and I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to moving forward with Flagler and keeping it going and working with the community. I'm here for you all and our kids, of course, and you guys have been incredible. And congratulations to all of our teachers, the Rookie of the Year, Teachers of the Year, yes. Employee of the Year, and go Flagler.
There you go.
I would just say, obviously, there's no replacing either of you, but more than footprints in the sand, you guys have really carved in granite a history that we can go back and follow and has set us on a great course. And you better believe I'll be calling you guys.
Anytime.
And so it will be the standard that I hold myself to for sure in these next 4 years. Thank you.
We'll be okay.
Yeah, I said my comments at our last meeting, and I know everybody wants to get to the party, but just thank you both again for your example and the opportunity to learn from you. I know there always appears to be a lot of drama, but I really have enjoyed our time together, and yeah, just going to Tallahassee, all those things. So Thank you. And yeah, you know I'll call you.
Yeah, and I remember 2 years ago when I was sitting at that side of the table there, just getting ready to be sworn in, and then here we are 2 years later, and what a journey it's been. And you know, I will say that it is, when you come on as a new school board member, you're sitting up here with in my case, you know, really 4 other strangers, because and you're here having to get together, make policy, get together. And boy, we really have done a lot in the last 2 years. We've taken on a lot of big agenda items, a lot of big decisions, and I will tell you that I have grown as a leader, as a board member, through the engagement that we've had through these discussions. And I'm grateful that, Cheryl, I never was ever confused on which side of the agenda you were on. You always spoke your mind. You said it like it is, and I appreciate that, because that's, if you keep your thoughts inside, we can't build off of them, right? And I've always said that having a group of board members with a diversity of thought, but with one common goal, is a great board. And that's, I believe, we have done over the last 2 years. And I celebrate you, Cheryl, and your 49 years. I know 4 years on the board, but 49 years in education. Kudos to you. Thank you for investing in the kids of, not just from everywhere you've been, right? So this is just one part of your journey, and I'm sure there's more to come from you. So thank you for your service to education. And Colleen, as someone said, it's like, wow, you went through an election 6 times? You went back to that? And you're victorious, and there's a reason for that, because the community felt you were the right person to be in that seat, and I'm grateful for your service for the last 24 years, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you on this board, and I'm thank you for extending the opportunity to reach out to you even off the dais. And I wish you both great things to come.
Thanks, Mom.
And before we conclude this meeting, because I know how you guys are, you're ready to get to them. This is going to be a clap out, which means we're going to line the hall, because we're getting them from this spot over to the next room without you guys keeping them over. It's like a wedding, right? All right? That's what we're going to do. So I ask those of you that are here, please, if you'll line the halls, we're going to open these doors, and we are going to give them a rounding clap out as they leave the dais.
This is brilliant.
For the last time in this role. So line it up. Come on, Pierre. We're waiting. We're watching. You're leading us up.
Okay, clean up here.
So I need some people on this side. They got to walk through the whole thing. And then, Chair, you're going to adjourn the meeting, and then once they are through the doors. Are we ready? They're getting their stuff together.
Okay. Get here. There's a lot of
Get
stuff.
a good picture in here, okay? Get a good one. Put him to work.
Y'all gotta go this way. Are they gonna dance down here?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening here.
Wait a second.
All right, I'm
Come back and get that.
Yeah, we can leave this.
Just leave it? We'll come back later.
Yeah, you gotta do the wedding march.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Go ahead. I got it.